Hey, I know. I absolutely know that people are going to be looking forward to what's going on here and what we were going to say here today. Welcome aboard. We appreciate everybody coming aboard here. Thank you again on this Monday, on this football Monday here on the National Football Show. By the way, please do me a favor, hit all the likes. We love it. Let me make it very clear here. Right out of the gate. By the way, let's start the show. We got to say this as well. 4 hours powered by our friends at BetUS. And please hit the like button. First 15 minutes is one of the most important times here for the program. Super chats all go to the top. You know, sports gives us a great opportunity to get away from the election, which is tomorrow. Just for a brief time. It's really absolutely spectacular where we are in the sports calendar. I'm getting a chance to meet Jimmy Johnson on Sunday in San Diego. Their Fox guys are putting the show out there, and we're going to go meet Jimmy. We're going to have a conversation. My Canes are now 9-0. Great weekend in college football, too. Starting to look and get the teams in college football, which teams could be the top 12 teams. We'll talk more about that later, obviously. NFL, then, of course, the Eagles. In that game yesterday, I've never seen a more miserable 6-2 football team in my life than the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, how come I come away from a game like that against the Jaguars where really a lot of the people that were in that game played very well, and yet there you were with a 5-point win with the Jags with a chance to win on the final possession? How is that possible? How is that possible? Okay? How is that possible? Anybody in here defending that coach is a freaking moron. You are a moron. That team wins in spite of the coach. The roster carries the coach. That roster carries the coach. Can you imagine if you had a more qualified coach? Can you imagine if you had a more qualified coach? He's reckless. He's not aggressive. He's reckless. Dude, I'll tell you, the two coaches from a couple years ago that were hired, Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni, who would you rather be coached by? Nick Sirianni. Any fool that supports that guy is a fucking clueless moron. The best coach in that game was on the other side of the football field. Did you not see it? 4 different O-linemen. I can't even tell you who their wide receivers are. Their defense is the worst. Worst in pass defense. Okay? The worst. Nobody with any brains would support that guy as head coach. He's a fucking clueless moron. ESP, you leave 9 points on the board and you give the Jags a chance to beat you. The Jags should never have been in that ball game. It's a miserable way to look at things. 6-2, you don't have all the components for a Super Bowl team. And by the way, you've beaten one team with a winning record. Don't sit here and try to tell me you found your groove. Against who? The Giants and the Jags combined are 4-14. 4-14. Calm yourselves down. We're going to get to the takeaways here in a minute. What an absolutely clueless portion of your fan base. Doug Peterson coached the shit out of buffoon and bozo Sirianni. absolutely coached his doors off with that bozo. What an that guy's, we'll get to it here, man. I mean, it's nauseating. Roster got the win. If Jacksonville had a decent quarterback, they would have won the game yesterday. He's worse than Brandon Staley. Should have won by 12, not 5. No question. This segment is sponsored by Tell Us Why You're Mad. Because that fucking coach is going to cost you a game that matters. Dude, you're lucky you played the Jags. They're a 2-7 football team. And you're crowing about that win and that narrow win like you did over the Browns. What a bunch of shit, man. You don't know good football when you see it. You play a close game against a shitty team, congratulations to you. You're in the same position, in the same conversation we were a year ago. 10-1. 10-1 versus shitty teams. What an absolute disgusting performance by a coach. He's an absolute asshole the way he goes about his business and uses the word and the terms aggressive. Nick Sirianni is reckless with your team. Reckless. Dude, they had no right being in that game. Get this. If it was a halfway decent team, they'd have beat you. Unbelievable. You're crowing about playing decent football. How many people think you played great football yesterday? Look at the opponent. You played down to him. Or you coached down to him. Which is it? Nick and Dan are different sides of the same coin. That being said, Sills is right. We won in spite of the coach. Dugout coach, Nick. Bottom line. Absolutely. Tell me this. How many people believe you played well yesterday? If that's the case, you played well? How come the team had a last chance to beat you with no numbers? Either the coaching sucks or the players play down to their competition. You pick one. Xander, I missed the super chat. All super chats go to the top. Sills, who sucks more, Sirianni or Franklin? I think I'm watching the same two guys. They look like assholes on the sidelines. You know, you guys last year said it was Brian Johnson and Sean Desai. You tell me why you were in that game. Did you play down to your competition or did you coach down to your competition? You tell me. Pick one. Can't be. It can't be both, or can it? Get this. Do you know why we're talking like this? This is not about Sunday. My God almighty. Most of you folks are so ignorant that you can't see what we're doing here. This is not about the freaking Jaguar game. This is about a football team that's going to need all components to win a Super Bowl, and you don't have it. And it's never been on display this year like it wasn't a year ago. Hey, is the quarterback playing better? Yes. Is the defense? Yes. Is the coaching? Same shit as last year. No. No. Dallas, Washington, Rams, Ravens. Be lucky to go 2-2. Dude, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Important. First 15. Sirianni, get this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this right here. And this is all you need to know. Where is this guy? Where is that? Put that up there where DRC had it where he's 40 and right here. Sirianni's now 40-19 as head coach. He's the second winningest percentage coach among active head coaches. You tell me then why people, if he had lost that game, would have said he would have been fired today. Doug showed you why he's a good coach. Nick isn't. Isn't that crazy? You got a 40-19 coach is only because of the roster, not him. He has nothing to do with this. As a matter of fact, that guy gets in the way. They win in spite of that coach. Holy shit. It's a great example of it. Look at the Chargers. 5-3 with Jim Harbaugh. You get some good coaching, you're going to win some ball games. You got a great roster. This guy did everything in his power to lose that game yesterday. I have never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like it. What a disgrace of a coach. Seals, you make my blood boil sometimes, but watching you and Johnny Mack last night, I wanted to fight him. Nick Sirianni is a moron. By the way, Christopher, this is awesome of you. Thank you. If he didn't have the talent on the team, he'd be less than 500. He doesn't pay attention to situational football. And by the way, Christopher, the fucking analytics on that team, that owner's kid is a moron also. Because if those are the analytics that coach is going off of, the whole entire operation needs to be self-evaluated. Okay? How about this guy here? Absolutely, he did not. Nobody agrees with him. There's not one person in the media or in football that agrees with John McMullen. No one. Oh, except the beat writers. Same dumbass said Barkley had a better game. This Henry against the Browns. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Derrick Henry's having an MVP season. Does Sirianni get any credit when he does kick field goals? Plus, we could talk about how good Hurts was. Dude. So he climbs away from the tush push when it got stuffed twice by the Jags on the goal line. Really? You don't have John was talking about confidence in his players. Well, obviously the coach didn't have confidence in the tush push last night because you know why? He throws a flare pass. Angelo Cataldi at 5:30, by the way. Gary Cobb at 4:30 and Xander at 3:30. Miss M. Reyes' chat. There you go. Cry, Seals, cry. Baldini is peak performance. He's a fucking moron. Thank you, Uncle. Appreciate you becoming a member. We appreciate that. Doug Peterson was the best coach. How many people think Doug was the best coach on the field? Let me show you something here. I usually do the numbers last. First downs, Jags had 14. Okay, wait a minute. All the people that support Nick Sirianni in here, which are morons. Absolute morons. Saquon jersey giveaway tomorrow for members. Get your memberships in, please. That's Xander. You tell me what happened here. The Jags had 14 first downs. They were 3 of 10 on third down. They only ran 50 plays. They had a total of 215 total yards. They passed the ball for 155 yards. 18 attempts, they had 60 yards rushing. They had 3 turnovers. And they only held the ball for 20 minutes. How were they in a last possession game to beat you and they're on to 37? Explain that one to me. Come on, analyst. Explain that to me. Either Sirianni's an idiot or there's some serious point shaving going on. Should be investigated. He left 9 on the board and the Eagles were 6.5-point favorites in that game, and they won by 5. Hey, Xander, I missed the super chat before Prince is here. I've never seen a head coach like this. It's a child on Madden. He's a disaster. He doesn't manage the game like a CEO coach. That's correct. That's a great take, Anthony. He manages that thing like a moron. Yesterday was just better players making better plays. He got punked by Jacksonville. 2 stops. Nick's a bum. Hey, Prince has one too, I believe. Sills, I don't always agree with you, but Nick's actions make me want to punch him in the face. We dominated offensively and defensively, but the head coach was the weak link. Here's the Prince's point here. By the way, all super chats go to the top. Please do me a favor, hit that like button. Here's the Prince's point. This is exactly the point Prince is making here. So I just gave you had the ball 20 minutes, 3 turnovers in the game. You had a total of 255 or 215 total yards and 14 first downs, and you were 3 of 10 on third down. Here's the Eagles. 9 of 17, almost 50% on third down. You had 21 first downs. You had 450 yards in total offense. You ran the ball for 237 yards. You had 1 turnover that was disputed, I think, and you held the ball for almost 40 minutes. How is it a 1-possession game? Enlighten me. Enlighten me. Enlighten me. I heard that Barkley and Hurts played great. The defense played great. I was told that everything, the defense dominated. The offense dominated. Barkley and Hurts dominated. How are you in a 5-point game where if the quarterback instead of makes a bad play, makes a good play, you lose? How? Explain this. Again, folks, you know why this is critical conversation? Same shit as a year ago. It's going to bite you in the ass in the end like it did a year ago. I already see it. You're not playing very good football teams, and you're struggling against them. Either coaching, not player performance lately. You're not struggling player performance lately. You're struggling coaching. You are struggling in coaching. You're struggling in coaching. Not even the coordinators. There's only one guy on that football team that's not living up to his job, and it's the head coach. You know why? Because that guy doesn't have a job. I missed the super chat here. How does the organization address this? Shouldn't the OC be raising concerns about decision-making or even a GM? I get he's the coach, but damn. How about this too, Josh? You see them put up that video? Remember what I told you last night, right, Xander? They'll put some halftime or post-game speech up on the Twitter page to make Sirianni look like this guy here is Bill Belichick. And by the way, Nakobe Dean had 2 tackles. Don't tell me he played well. I went back and watched that thing a little this morning. He didn't play well. He had a really good play, obviously, to end the game. He didn't play well. Don't tell me he played well. 2 tackles? He didn't play well. He was okay. Relax. That's not true. Go back and watch it. Well, for one, the refs gifted the Jags 7 points. Okay. There you go. Always using excuses. We have a top 5 roster with a bottom 5 head coach. This could easily be a Super Bowl team with the right coaching in the room. The front office with the head coach will rob us. Here, at the end of the day, too, I'm not sure you're a Super Bowl team yet. I think you're trending that way. You haven't played anybody of any significance in the last month and a half. Nick Analytics Sirianni's a schmuck. That's right. I had people last night on the post-game show telling me you owe Nakobe Dean an apology. Do you know how many times he was out of position in that game Sunday? 7. Des the Joe. This is very disheartening, Sills. Thought this team was trending up. Oh, it is. It is. Des, it is. But you got a doorstop in your head coach. He's not qualified. last year, JAKIB posted something that I got a lot of heat for. You know what it was? I said that coach is not qualified to be the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I still stand by that. Nick's a winner. We didn't get it. F it. But the defense back out there, Nick isn't doing anything. Mr. Laurie and Howie isn't approving. Dude, you mean to tell me you think those in-game decisions, you think they're piping decision-making in their ear? Thank you, Marvin. I appreciate it. Do you actually believe that Jeffrey Lurie, when those decisions come up on the sidelines, is in his ear telling him what to do? Those in-game decisions are being decided by him on the sidelines. I'm Team John McMullen after last night. Congratulations to you, man. We welcome that. I don't give a shit if you agree with me or not. By the way, you're a buffoon. And not because you listen to John. Because if you back that coach, you're an asshole. How about this? Would you let that guy run your household? Spend all your money when maybe you shouldn't? And not be prudent? He's not aggressive. He's reckless. This was just 10 wins last season. Talent was good enough in spite of the head coach. Pop Warner GM management. He's trash. I missed the super chat, Xander. Keep cooking, Sills. You had Johnny Max squeakier than basketball court. Accountability in this city. We got players fighting reporters. How about this? I'll get to that too. I thought he was going to get up and leave because he got so upset last night. I thought he was going to walk off the set. I disagree. Hey, I shouldn't have took personal shots at him, but I don't back off of anything I'm saying. I can't wait to get Angelo at 5:30. Big Sales. I only said that because your yelling match last night was entertaining with you. Hey, thank you too. Hey, always sunny. Thank you for the super chat. Hit those super chats. We appreciate it. We get to Bob and see what Bob says. Bob's real good at this. Sills analytics should have never come into play yesterday. We outclassed Jacksonville out of the tunnel. No shit, man. That thing should never have been close. Except for the head coach, Nick's lack of situational awareness let Jacksonville off the mat. That must be fixed. Absolutely, that's the point, Bob. Bob has got such great takes. Dude, you really. If you say, how did you, wait a minute. So all the Nick Sirianni lovers, let me get one in here. Give me a Nick Sirianni lover. Because I want to ask you a personal question. Here's DRC. DRC. If you're on the side of Nick, okay? How did Jacksonville have a shot to win that game last night? How did they have a shot to win that game? How'd they have a shot? Can I get a shout out for my boy Sydney? That was a great hit in special teams. That was a great hit. That was a great hit. I've mentioned it in my post game. Seals, we need Marcus Hayes on the panel this week. No particular reason at all. No, probably not. Great content in Philly this week. Hey, how about this? So how do you struggle against the Browns and you struggle against the Jags? Why is that? And you lose to the Falcons. How is that? By the way, Jalen Hurts did something great yesterday. You know, what was it? What was it? And not the obvious, the turnovers. What was the one thing that was awesome that Hurts did yesterday? I'm going to get to my takeaways here in a minute. What was the one thing that Hurts did yesterday? But then again, it was the shitty Jags. No, it wasn't run. The offense didn't fall off the map when A.J. Brown left. Nick is aggressive for the sake of being aggressive. No thought of the process behind it. Excellent take, Vincent. Do me a favor, Xander. Please put that up there. We got another one behind Vincent's here. Nick needs to go into the broom closet immediately. Des is Hebrew. I'd trade Nick for a bag of trail mix right now. Absolutely. Get this. It's one thing to be in a football game against a decent team, not a shitty team. Yeah, great. You played close games with the Giants, the Browns, and the Jaguars. No, you're trending to being a Super Bowl team. Take the check down too. Hey, we missed 2 super chats, Xander. By the way, we appreciate all these super chats going to the top, as I said. We read them all. Of course, they're not in his ear. But Nick does this all the time. Look at Nick's record. No way they're firing him. We're going to the Super Bowl. So you think struggling against the Browns and the Jaguars, you're a Super Bowl team. How ignorant is that take? You've played one good team this year, and the other ones, you lost to them. You've had one good, meaningful win this year, and you struggled versus the Browns and the Jags. How in the world do you think you're in a position to say you're a Super Bowl team? Okay? Dude, if you take the attempts and you put hey, by the way, there were other mistakes that were made in that game. You know, I thought about it. Xander said something about Barkley making a mistake last night. I hadn't thought about it until I went back and watched it. Him not getting out of bounds, or excuse me, him not picking that first down up. Can you imagine if they had picked the first down up and picked a couple more yards up? Maybe that field goal Jake Elliott has is maybe it's closer. Instead of banging off the upright, maybe that is a little closer for him, and he's got more of a opportunity at a higher percentage to make a field goal. Dak probably is going on IR. Check their schedule. They could be the first pick. You think Travis Hunter could be fit in Dallas? I told you the Cowboys would win 5 games. Xander, I missed the super chat here after 3:04, please. Do me a favor. If you can, please, guys, hit the like button here. We got an opportunity here if you hit the like button here. Hey, Sills, I would trade for a power back and pass rusher. What do you think? I don't want to wear down Barkley. 27 carries in the game. I think some of the load being taken off of Barkley is at the behest of Hurts. Okay? I do. Seals, your excuses for Barkley was probably had the ATL drop in mind. So, yeah, I think that all played into it. I do. I do. And I'm not, dude, he's played so well. There's been gaps, okay? There's been gaps where he's had moments. You know what I'm saying? He's had moments. Hit the like button, guys, please. All super chats go to the top. Do you understand what we're doing here? Let me get to my takeaways. Game balls will come up here in a minute. We'll do that here in a second. Please hit the like button. Jaguars were the last opportunity to beat the Eagles at Lincoln Financial is absolutely mind-numbing. That the head coach kept that team in that game. The owner's son controls what they do situationally. That requires analytics. If you think about it, if he meets with every Tuesday, he's doing what he's told. No, I think they built that game plan. Frank Reich said it off the analytics from Julian. Absolutely. What do you think of Travis Hunter as a prospect? He's the best player in last year's draft. He's the best player in this year's draft. That's what I think of Travis Hunter. He's one of the best secondary players I've seen probably in 25 years. Eagles survive. That game was out of hand. And then Nick systematically let him back in it. Barkley and Hurts, I'm going to make this point to you here, rapidly getting closer and closer to looking a little like Lamar and Henry. I mean, it's starting to look like that a little. Those two guys are starting, and those two tandems are starting to look alike. The difference in Baltimore is they actually have good coaching. I mean, the defense is clearly getting better. By the way, your perimeter edge rushers stink outside of Josh Sweat. They absolutely stink. Really, do you buy that Huff's hands hurt? No. KC struggled against Atlanta and Cincinnati. Baltimore let Dallas come back and lost to Cleveland. Point is, quit knocking the Eagle wins. This is the NFL. Yeah, well, Kansas City beat fucking Baltimore. Who'd you beat? Kansas City beat Baltimore, and Atlanta beat you. Lions only team in the NFC may be beating us. That's so obnoxiously ignorant. That's the difference between Nick and Dan Campbell. Besides, Nick's already been to a Super Bowl. Holy cow. So's Lovie Smith. So's Lovie Smith been to a Super Bowl. So's Ken Wisenhunt. What's your point? Bad coaches go to Super Bowls too, dude. Hey, get this. I see people last night, they were like, hey, Sills, Hurts was elite against the Jags. I have yet to see Jalen Hurts elite in an elite game this year. Is that fair? Is that fair? I have yet to see, I've seen Mahomes before elite in elite football games. I've seen Lamar in elite football games. Hurts hasn't played in an elite game yet. And you want to dub him that. Will our soft schedule ultimately be our undoing? No, your coaching will be your undoing. Players are picking it up. Players are picking it up. You passed up 9 points in this game. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. How reckless that coach is with your team. Our coaches run the show. Nick listens to the Sun. Other coaches. Dude, I thought your coordinators were fine. Here, get this. One more time, I'm going to ask you how you gave that team a chance to win the game. Trevor Lawrence, 169 yards passing, 2 picks. NTN, 3 carries, 24 yards. Some dude named Evan Ingram, 5 catches, 45. Parker Washington, who? 4 catches, 31. And Austin Trammell had 2 catches for 40. How in the world are you in a room with Hurts 18 to 21, 24 for 230 and 2 touchdowns, Barkley 27 carries, 159 and a TD catch, Hurts 3 carries, 67 yards and a TD, Devontae Smith 4 catches, 87 yards, and Barkley 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown, as I said. How in the world did Jacksonville stay in this game? You won't admit it. And you say John acts like he's never wrong. You know, okay, Anthony. Let's see if Anthony answers the question here. I'll take whatever. By the way, whatever Anthony answers, I want you to listen. Ready? The Jags had 14 first downs. They were 30% on third down, 3 of 10. They had 215 yards of total offense, ran the ball for 60 yards, had the ball for 20 minutes. The quarterback had 155 in passing yards. Etienne had 24 yards rushing. And guys named Evan Ingram, 5 catches, 45. Parker Washington, 430 for 4 catches for 31. And Austin Trammell, 2 catches for 40. How did you give the Jags the last opportunity to beat you? Anthony, what is it? And Hurts and Barkley and Devontae all played great. How'd you give one of the shittiest teams in the league a chance to beat you? We got to beat before you believe. Who do we got to beat before you believe we're going to the Super Bowl? Doesn't work like that. Would you play Hunter at wide receiver or corner? I might play him at both. Xander, I missed the super chat. Look at this. Hold on. That's the problem. That's not what I was saying. You're wrong about. What are you saying I'm wrong about? Xander, I missed it. So there we go. Combined record for teams we beat, 18-36. I got to keep that stat. $18 and 36 are the teams you beat so far this year. By the way, those edge rushers gave all that offense wanted yesterday. Between Allen and Walker, Hurts was sacked like 3 times in that game, holding on to the ball too long. Just imagine when you play somebody decent. It's not going to look like that. Hurts has been playing elite against who? Who's he played elite against? Let's see. What'd you say? So the Browns, who are 3-7 or 3-8. The Giants, who are 2-7, and the Jags, who are 2-7. Okay. He's been able to put it together versus some below average teams. Johnny Mac be drinking that magical fountain of Sirianni. No way in hell anyone with 2 brain cells would defend him, buddy. I got it, man. Hey, so wait a minute. That's a good point here. Let me take a look at that. I gotta look at that. So wait a minute here. The last 4 weeks, 3-6, 4-5, 11, 7, 2-7, 18, 9, and then 2-7. Okay. 26. Last 4 weeks since the bye, you've played teams and beat teams with a combined record of 11-26. And you're talking to me about shit being elite when your coach can't even get out of his own freaking way. Holy cow. Hurts holding the ball, taking sacks is not elite. Hey, you want to know what elite was in that game? Those edge rushers that Jacksonville has. That's elite. Seals, in a league built for parity, you can't give a bad team life. Coaches watching film on Philly now know that if they stick around long enough, Nick will open up the door for him. Dude, Bob, you have great takes always, man. Hey, by the way, did anybody happen to see the comments that Lane Johnson had after the game? Did anybody see the comments Lane had? What he thought about the game? How come Lane talks like me about the game? Lane was very disappointed about the game. Xander, I missed the super chat. Apologize. Lane didn't think they played well. Lane Johnson was actually pissed. And yet you're talking to me about eliteness when one of the elite players didn't say that. What about the team that the Lions beat? I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Okay? Worry about yourselves. Worry about yourselves. Start comparing yourself to others, you lose sight of what you're doing, which is standard. Are you an Eagles fan? No. I'm a fan of the fans that root for that team. How could I be an Eagle fan? I just started covering them 4 years ago. But do you want me to sit here and do what most people do in the media? Lie to you? I can't do that, son. Head coach just say, can't stay out of the way. Get this, Xander, I brought this up on the post-game show. I had one of my takeaways that I said that I had was when it came to like bold predictions. Would Nick Sirianni stay out of the way? My bold prediction was no. And it's coming to fruition. That's why you're all mad at me. He only kills momentum. Jay said, you're dead on. Thank you for the super chat. I'm right again. I'm a Hurts fan. He's not elite. He's getting better. Absolutely true, Q. He's totally getting better. Hurts is not elite, but he's playing better. Absolutely, Anthony. Very true. A lot better. By the way, I'm right again. I'm right again. Nick couldn't stay out of the way. He's got to have a job. The coordinators are doing their job. Kellen's actually making the kid better. Vic's doing a spectacular job on the other side of the ball. The only guy that's not is the same guy who fucked it up last year, Nick Sirianni. I said, can Nick Sirianni stay out of the way and out of Kellen's way? He can't. And he'll be on your undoing. Same dude. Can I say this to you? Nick Sirianni, wait a minute. Let's do this. I think the coordinators have fixed the problems of a year ago. But I think the one thing the coordinators can't fix is the one problem that you had last year. That's the head coach. The only problem you haven't fixed is him. Nick Sirianni is a cancer on that coaching staff. Hurts is playing all right. He's playing better than all right. He damn near held the ball for a shot clock violation and took 2 sacks. Besides that, he's been playing fair. I don't think fair. I think he's been playing a lot better. Still's not elite, but he's getting better, my man. He can't stay out of the way. Why do you think he's still here? Because that's the type of style of coach they want. A yes man. He's a yes man. He's a lapdog. He's a guy that is a puppet. He's a puppet. Can somebody post what Lane's exact quote was? Seals, Lane's message is with Oklahoma charm. Yours is with Connecticut piss and vinegar. Same message, different delivery. Both are correct. Paychecks have different signatures. My stuff is Connecticut, New York, New Jersey kind of stuff. Okay? That kind of stuff. New England. Yeah. More of an asshole. Yeah. Seals, if they converted all those attempts Are we even talking about this? No, we have you know what we have, Andreas? A boring Monday show about a win that you crushed the Jags and no one cares. Correct. No. If they convert on all their things and blow the Jags out, this would be an awful show today. Beating the Jags, you guys would be like, and if we shouldn't compare ourselves to others, why does the opponent's records matter? Because we're talking about, at the end of the day, home field advantage. Doesn't really indicate how you're playing going into the playoffs. You can get out to a great record and have a great record, get into playoffs like the Ravens did a year ago and lose. Because why? The Chiefs were playing better. They were 14-3. If I'm not mistaken, Kansas City had the same wins you did. But Kansas City was looking like a 14-win team. And when Baltimore got to the AFC Championship, they looked like they were a 10-win team and not playing on all cylinders. Kansas City was. That's why. Hurts not elite compared to who? Josh Allen? Never been. That right there is not an indictment, because Allen's never been to a Super Bowl. Rex Grossman's been to a Super Bowl, and so is Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, that's such a shitty and stupid metric that you use. My God almighty. Mahomes has multiple championships, and Josh Allen is 7-2 with a bunch of players who wouldn't make the roster under Hurts. Just not a guy on that Bills team that would make the offensive roster. Not one guy. You're dead right, Bobby. Josh Allen doesn't have one guy plays offensively that would play in Philly. There's not one guy. Running back, tight end, O-line, receivers, nobody except the quarterback. Do you think Nick is being told to do those questionable calls by the analytics team? I do. I don't know how analytics says to go and chase 2 points. I'll tell you in a minute here. By the way, let me get that last super chat here. Okay? Daniel, I'm high on what? Xander, I missed this. Here we go. 7-1 Falcons. Lose should be counted as a win. Oh, shit. I'm high on what? Get this. So you're telling me James Cook would start over Barkley and Cooper Coleman would start? Oh, who's fucking Cooper Coleman? Would start over who? Devontae? Those are their 1-1 guys, not their third guys. Holy cow. Look at this guy trying to move the needle here. Like, Cooper Coleman is their number 2 dude, and Cook is their number 1 guy. You mean this guy thinks, Daniel thinks, that James Cook would start over Saquon Barkley, or that Keon Coleman would start over Devontae Smith? How dumb are you? Holy shit. Oh, Sills, but Keon Coleman would start at the number 3. He's a number 1 up there. Well, yeah, you know, their number 1 guy would be our number 3 guy. Thank you. Thank you. Get this. Look at this guy. Here, get this. Mike actually thinks Amari would wide receiver 3 on our team. Yeah, and he's wide receiver 2 up there. So you're telling me you think he would be a guy up there down in Philly? He'd be starting over Devontae. There's not one player in the Bills' offensive huddle, from linemen on down to receivers to back, that would start in Philly. They'd be backups. Get this. So who's he starting over? Hey, Busy, who's he starting over? Who are those two guys starting over? Jahan Dotson? Cook would start over Barkley? Once again, Busy, get the shit out of your ears. They don't have one player that could start in the Philly offense. Didn't say make the team. Start. Except Josh Allen. The only guy that would start in that offense would be Allen over Hurts. I can't even say that. Holy cow. The Nick Sirianni lovers in here can't handle it that your coach is a buffoon. Josh Allen would start people damn stop people. Yeah, does. They don't want to admit it. Thanks for the super chat. Not one player would start in Buffalo. Okay? Why don't we circle this back here and get back on topic here? Or you don't want to? Let's get to a topic here. Wait, I'll get to my game balls here in a minute. Please hit the like button. Is Nick Sirianni going to cost the Eagles a Super Bowl? Yes or no? Xander, I'd like to do a poll on that. Is Nick Sirianni going to cost the Eagles a Super Bowl? I bet Lurie questioned Kellen by running the ball. Can a passer throwing 20.7 5 times a game win a Super Bowl? Detroit and Minnesota will eat us up with their pass rush, forcing Hurts to throw more than 30 times. I brought that up on the post-game show, and I don't believe he can. Poll created. Fantastic. We got a poll running right now. I want you to vote, and we'll keep a running tab on it. Is Nick Sirianni going to cost you an opportunity at a Super Bowl championship? Stills, I've never seen a head coach that wanted us to lose more than Sirianni. It's frustrating seeing this because when playoff time comes, it'll be infuriating, like it was a year ago. Poll is in the chat. You can vote right here. I think he is. Here comes the president of the Nick Sirianni fan club. I misunderstood. My apologies. Allen is the only player I'd want from the Bills. Laughing my ass off, and Sirianni already cost us a Super Bowl. Daniel, I apologize. He's already. Hey, by the way, Jonathan Gannon is coaching his ass off out there in Arizona. They're leading the West over San Francisco and the Rams in Seattle. Jonathan Gannon. Yours truly and others may have been wrong about that guy. He already cost them one. And he'll not get back. Killing a great roster. KC wins because of their coaching. Correct. It's not their roster. Hey, get this. Think about that for a minute. That's such a great super chat. By the way, all super chats go to the top. Hey, that's the ultimate super chat. Kansas City doesn't have the best roster. Far from it. The Caucasian cornerback, Coop, looks like a 5-year vet. I love the fans at the link doing that Coop chant. I thought that was dope. I did. I like that. I did. Think about this. The Chiefs don't have the best roster in the NFL. They got the best quarterback and the best coaching staff. Best GM. Andy's had it everywhere he's been. Jim Johnson, Joe Banner, him. He knows how to build a franchise. Kudos to Andy. Give me the best coordinator on defense. Give me the best coordinator on offense, which is me. Find me a competent or above competent like you got with Mahomes and McNabb. I'll take you places. It's not about wideouts. By the way, once again, how many weeks is AJ going to be out? 3 to 5, they say. Get more back on the MRI later on today. Can I tell you who else is going to cost you a Super Bowl? Not just Sirianni. It's the Eagle Analytics Department. John was trying to argue with me about analytics last night, and I called it applied analytics. I'm not putting my game plan together based off of analytics. I'm going to apply analytics when I feel needed. The guy on the other side outcoached him. Do you think Howie makes a move today? Maybe. Xander, I missed a super chat. I live in Buffalo. All I ever hear is if we just had one of those guys in Philly. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Amari's a good player. You got good coaching up there. McDermott is turning it back around again. Okay? How about this? Frank Reich came on this program a year ago and told you how the game plan was built. I think many of you just blew that off. Many of you blew that off. Nick Sirianni builds his game plan off the information that they get from the analytics. And you know why he's going for that? They're telling him, and some of you are going like this, maybe he's just listening to the front office. He's listening to the analytics of the front office. In theory, he's doing what he's basically told to go for it. This is not just Nick. This is those guys too. I heard John say something this morning when I tuned in a little bit. Well, this has been aggressive since Doug. I wish Xander would have asked him one thing. So Doug used analytics from the front office and he was aggressive. Look at the difference between Nick Sirianni's aggressive decision-making in game and look at Doug's. Philly, go for it. And I heard Xander say something. And see, John can land on this, and everyone else can land on this. Well, Monday morning quarterback stuff. How about Sunday afternoon coaching? Do you know why Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes wins so many football games? Do you know why? They're not reckless in their play calling. They go with high percentage plays all the time. Check downs, not very many deep passes. They don't pass points up. They play the percentages. I tried telling John that last night. Well, that's not who Philly is. Okay. That's who New England and KC is. They play the percentages. John says that's not how they play it. And that means confidence. That doesn't mean that to me. You got to be smart. When you're playing in a football game, you play the percentages. You don't play aggressiveness. At that one particular moment, there is the percentage to play this play. Now, if that play is the number one play and gives you the best chance, you play that play. I play percentages. Brady was never a deep thrower. Mahomes is not a deep thrower. How come those guys have won the last 13 Super Bowls? In the last 25 years, they've won 13 of them. You don't really think there's any coincidence to that? I know this is going to rub people the wrong way, but we began to have a conversation that A.J. Brown is very injury prone. That hurts us. I'm not going there. I'm not going there yet. Dan, stop it. We know this about our owner and GM. Nothing is going to change. If you fire the head coach, Nick only follows orders. And this is why you're 1-3 in Super Bowls under him. This is totally why you're 1-3. Crosby needs to get his white ass over to Philly. Sills, what does it say about this team if we're going to get to the Super Bowl, Nick would be the weakest link on the field. This goes back to the organization not valuing coaching staff development. Absolutely. Hey, let me ask you something here. Think about something. I'm going to show you something. Hey, 304, you in here? And leave this up here with Bob Brown saying about evaluating coaching staff guys and elevating them and developing them. Hey, 304, you in here? I want to show you something here about an organizational F-up in Dallas. And I want to show you how it applies to the Eagles here a little bit. Okay, so let me ask you this. You got a football coach right now in Dallas, and you got a quarterback who's saying we effing suck on the sidelines, right? And the whole organization right now is in turmoil. Well, explain this to me. So you let Dan Quinn out the building and you don't hire him as a Dallas Cowboys head coach, and he's got a 7-2 team now. You got an offensive coordinator in Washington who right now, in Philadelphia, who's now with a 6-2 football team. You let both those guys walk out your building? You fired one of them. You fired one of them. Doug is aggressive with precision. Yep. Nick is aggressive with recklessness, and like a sledgehammer. That's why Doug's better. Think about that in Dallas. Jerry doesn't look at the coaching staff and value it. You had Dan Quinn. He's in first place in the East. Right now, you're a wild card. You're 7-2. And you got a coordinator in Philly who's in the top 10 offensively. And Hurts is starting to play better. Well, what do you got going on in Dallas right now? You got a lame duck head coach. Mike Zimmer looks like he's completely outmatched. How come Jerry didn't hire one of those guys to be the head football coach of his team? Did he not see the value? Because Kellen's going to get an opportunity if Jalen keeps trending this way. Could be New Orleans, now that coach has been fired. Look at the organizational mess up, because that organization believes they know what's best for the team. Same in Philly. They don't value their coaches. Think about that. Kellen's the OC of a 6-2 team in Philly, and Dan Quinn is the head coach of a 7-2 Washington Commanders team. And this is the best record that Washington has had since 1997. You didn't see the value? Look, how am I sitting here pointing that out to you? You're telling me that guy at Valley Ranch can't see that? That's why coaching in the NFL matters. It matters. Game balls are coming up here in a second. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. Here, Yale says that the Eagles value more in Vic and Sirianni, etc. Then why does the head coach come in and sabotage the football game plan with those reckless decisions if they value their decision and they allow the head coach to come in and theoretically put their defense in poor position and sabotage scoring opportunities? Can you imagine if you're Kellen Moore? Let me ask you this. If you're Kellen Moore and you drive your football team into a position to get points on the board and score, and you have a head coach that comes in and says, wait a minute, we're going for it on 4th down, and you put that guy in position to do exactly what you were hired to do, and your head coach takes you out of that position, what's your take on that? Isn't that sabotaging? I was brought in here to put that football offensive team in a position to win. And by the way, get this. Once again, here we go again. 10-1. Oh my God. It is the dumbest way of looking at a football team. 6-2. It's so dumb. Not every record is equal. Not every record is equal. Hey, look at this. Commanders are playing a 4th place schedule, and you've beaten one team with a winning record. Stop it. Look at Senor trying to downplay the Commander record when you haven't played fucking anybody. And the teams that had a winning record beat you. Every team that has a winning record has beaten you. That may change tonight with the Bucs not having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Sills is yelling, and we haven't played anyone, but we picked 5 every team to beat us. Unless, I'm not sure what the hell that means. Dude, what are you talking about? What are you talking about here? Sills, what qualifies a team to get into the playoffs and even have a shot at the Super Bowl? Momentum, health, key positions, great coaching. That's how you're going to win a Super Bowl. Oh, I know. Sills going off about Barkley dropping a pass in Atlanta. Oh, I know. Or missing a block or not getting out of bounds to make the field goal easier, to have a 2-score opportunity. Instead, you turn the ball over midfield. You give the ball to the Jags and you give them a chance to beat you at 2-17. You're right. That probably won't come back to haunt you against good teams in the playoffs. You're right. Look at this guy. Looking at how that is so dumb. Barkley, this is a game of inches. Everything matters. Barkley not getting the first down. How about if they get the first down and at the end of the day, they get a couple more yards, 10 or 12 more yards. They kick, instead of a 57-yard field goal, they kick a 47-yard field goal. And they give Jake Elliott a better opportunity to make it a 2-score game and no chance for the Jags with no timeouts to win. That's situational play calling, my friends. That's situational thinking. I'm not going to kill Saquon. But he has those mental errors in every game he plays. Missing a block on a sack, dropping a ball, not getting the first down. It's becoming quite habit. Isaiah, I know you beat the Packers. You beat one team with a winning record. I got it. Look at this guy. Hey, Mr. Perez, what's the content that you think that you would add to this mix? That you're 6-2 versus shitty teams and that your football head coach cost you an opportunity to blow a team out, to give your guys an opportunity to take your starters out, maybe rest some of your players so that you can get into the Cowboy game and start the initial. This, you're a honk. You're ESP in our in our chat. That's what you are, Mr. Perez. You're ESP. Why do you act like me? They can't learn from it. Because the coach hasn't learned from it. The players have. The players have learned. The players are getting better. I don't have one issue with the players. How could I? They had a great game. And yet you gave the Jags with no offense a chance to beat you. They go for it, plays like his temperament, his ego will cost the Eagles. And hey, how about this? The Jaguars, with players out all over the place. Stop the tush push. John McMullen last night was telling me, don't you think they have confidence in the tush push? I go, yeah. Well, then why are you throwing screens? Nick Sirianni contradicts himself every single time he can. You have confidence in the tush push. Well, not that moment you didn't. That's the first sign that play broke. And panic. That was panic coaching. Throw a flare pass on 4th and 1. Instead of just doing it again. The Jags broke the tush push 2 plays in a row. And I disagree. I didn't think he got in. Guess we will know more in 3 weeks versus the Ravens. I think Ravens and Commanders. And the short work week. Says we have a formula to win, yet someone is in the kitchen adding molasses to it when they don't need to. Correct. Remember what I said, Abe, at the beginning of the year. Will Sirianni stay out of the way? No. No. I'm right. Sad, but I'm right. I thought he'd get out of the way. She don't want no puppy. She wants a big dog. I thought he would stay out of the way. I did. You know, here, and I can only give you examples having been around Hall of Fame coaches. By the way, I'm looking forward to seeing Coach Johnson this weekend. I never heard a pipe out of him or anything in a game. He barely said anything. He did timeouts. But he let the offensive coordinator, Norv Turner, and Dave Wannstedt call all the plays situationally. Jimmy just listened, and he evaluated them on Monday. He never got in the way. He won 3 Super Bowls. 75% yes, that Sirianni will cost the Eagles a Super Bowl. Coach never got in the way like that. Never. He'll never stay out of the way. He knows he contributes nothing. And in his eyes, this is the only way to show he matters. It's going to kill us. Dude, this guy's got Chip Kelly qualities. He's got Chip Kelly qualities to him. At least Chip's a play caller. Sills, we have elite talent with a clown in charge. It's like putting Cowboy on Secretariat. Ron Turcotte knew when to hold him, when to hold back, and when to hit him. That's right. As a matter of fact, Bob, years ago, I had a chance to talk to Ron Turcotte, who rode Secretariat. You know, in that Belmont, he said he never touched him. He just said, let's go. And that was the end of it. I think he said the only time he did it was the only time that he grabbed the lead. That was in Belmont, where he would win by 30-plus lengths coming down the stretch. Only one time was out of the gate. It's the only time. Nick's like a gambler. Won't take the money offered. Yeah, it's like the guy who was up. By the end of the night, he's down $500,000. His ego won't let him stay out of the way. He feels inept, and it shows. His tush push is his validation. And that's why when it got stopped, boy, you see him on the sidelines? I was almost like he was embarrassed. Why are you embarrassed? It's a football play. Things happen. Anybody who validates that guy and supports that guy, you're cruising for another L in the Super Bowl or a playoff game that matters. Would you really ever let that guy coach your football team in a decisive game? Would you really want him coaching your football team in a decisive game to go to the Super Bowl or to win an NFC championship game? I got to say this, man. Steichen took it on the chin, and they're now 4-5 in Indianapolis, but they're hanging around. That's a pretty good coaching staff. I mean, the other guy, Jonathan Gannon, is leading the West. Those guys were underrated. Nick's overrated. Think of that. Your coordinators were underrated. They were underrated. You know why? Because the Philadelphia media, and I'm not going to name any names, to this day still validates Nick Sirianni on that Super Bowl when everyone knows now it was those two coordinators. And now they don't want to be wrong that it was Nick pulling all the punches and making all the decisions. It's not true. They've brought two coordinators in that are completely highly competent. And now what's the issue? Your situational decision making. Get this. It's not even. Here's the problem that you have. It's not even your situational play calling anymore. It's your situational decision making. How many people think the Eagles have a situational decision making issue on the team right now at 6-2? How many people think they have, again, situational play calling, the 4th and 1? Okay. Here's my game balls. Xander's going to join us in a couple minutes. Gary Cobb at 4:30 and Angelo Cataldi at 5:30. I can't wait. Angelo is not a fan of Nick Sirianni. Here are my game balls, and I do them in order. Number 1, Saquon Barkley, man. Absolutely sensational. Absolutely sensational. I mean, the only guy playing better at that position is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has 1,000 yards rushing in only 9 ball games. Now, Barkley's over 1,000 with scrimmage yards, but Henry has 1,000 yards rushing in 9 ball games. Do you understand he's on pace to break Eric Dickerson's 2105? That's how good that guy is. And Saquon's right there, how good he is. Seals, we won't make it to the Super Bowl with him. I know you won't. We have some very capable coaches on the schedule. We barely beat these terrible teams like the Jags. I'm with you, Philly. Dude, you're struggling against the Browns? And get this, do you know why those two teams were in it? Because the Browns and the Jags had better head coaches. Saquon Barkley gets my game ball, number 1. Number 2, Jalen Hurts. 18 of 24, 230, 2 touchdowns, 67 yards, 13 carries, 1 TD. I mean, starting to look a little bit like 2022. Let me take one gander here. I want to take a look at this here, just for craps and giggles here, about Jalen Hurts and where he's on right now. And where he's on pace for right now. Let's take a look at this. And if he's trending up. So Jalen Hurts right now, how many people look at this and think this is good? So currently right now, Jalen Hurts is on pace for 3,770 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and 9 picks. What does that remind you of? And 70% completion percentage. What does that remind you of? 2022. That's more what he is. That's more what that player is. Okay? That's more what that player is exactly those numbers. Now let's go here. This is going to be a telling stat here a little bit, because right now, currently, when you're talking about durability and him being able, right now, he's got 86 attempts in 8 games. So he's averaging a little bit over right now, roughly around 11 carries a game. And you've got 9 ball games left. So you're looking at right now Jalen Hurts having 190 carries. Is that sustainable? Jalen Hurts will have 190 carries this year. Is that sustainable? I can't think of a quarterback that's your elite quarterbacks in the league that's going to carry the ball almost 200 carries. Not even Lamar. Right now, he's got 88 carries. He's averaging about 11, so he's going to be around 195 in carries. Is that sustainable? By the way, someone goes, take the tush push away. Why would I take the carries away in the tush push? It's arguably the most contact, the most violent part of his carries. You're constantly inside there. That's how Patrick Mahomes got hurt. He doesn't do the quarterback sneak any longer. Now, this is a good take, Raj. Seals, you were shitting on him earlier this year, just like I was, and it was justified. You have to say Jalen is looking. I did. When did I shit on Jalen right now? I said Jalen played great in the game. I didn't. Where am I shitting on him? Where did you hear me shit on Jalen Hurts today? I asked you, do you think 200 carries is sustainable for a running back, let alone a quarterback? Where am I shitting on him? Okay? Josh Allen is on pace, right? I mean, Josh Allen is on pace for 380 passing, 3,800 passing yards and 88 carries. That's far different than 200 carries. And Nakobe Dean played awful in that game, except for the INT. Not true. He didn't have a good game. Go back and watch it. Not true. Thought Jalen played well. Game ball number 2. Number 3, Zach Baun was outstanding again. First 3 plays of the game. This guy was everywhere. Dude, this guy right here is trying to tell me a guy with 2 tackles played great in the game. Yeah. Oh, my God. Dude, really? Jordan Davis had as many tackles, and he's a DT, and he's a nose. Wow. Again, Josh Sweat is kicking ass. Good for you, Josh. Devontae Smith, outstanding. And I gave my final game ball to Vic Fangio. So Barkley 1, Hurts 2, Zach Bond 3, Sweat 4, Jalen Carter 5, Devontae Smith 6, and Vic Fangio 7 would be my game balls. But Carter did a nice job in the middle in there. I held him to 60 yards rushing. What's it like? The Jaguar offense was killing people. Your coach was killing you. Do you know what you're talking about? Nick's a good – here, let's look at Arthur here. Do you know what you're talking about? Nick is a good coach. Look at his record. So under your premise, you think that Nick Sirianni is a better coach than Andy Reid and Dick Vermeil, right? Or Bill Parcells because he has a higher win percentage. Is that what you're saying, Arthur? So if you have a higher win percentage, you're a better coach. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? Hey, somebody do me a favor. Tell me what Nick Sirianni's win percentage is. I'll show you how dumb these people are. Let me show you how dumb they are. Cherry pick. Hey, hold on here. Hold on here. Here. So, career win percentage. Nick Sirianni's got about a 690 win percentage? Is that right? So according to that metric, what that guy said, look at his record. All right. Let's take a look at his record. Nick Sirianni. Wow. Look at Nick Sirianni. Look at all these coaches. Man, you got a great head football coach. Unbelievable. So, he's a better head coach than Tony Dungy, Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, according to that metric, Bill Cowher, Joe Gibbs, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, Bill Walsh, Tom Landry, Sean McVay. Really? Bill Parcells, Chuck Noll, because he has a higher win percentage. Is that right? I gotta show you this before I get to Xander Krause. And I want to show you what kind of honks we have in your Philadelphia market, and I'm embarrassed for you. I was told by Xander and Joe Krause that this was an absolutely difficult market and that the media was very difficult. Look at this. So, look at this here. So the guy who was the main guy who covers the Philadelphia Eagles, this guy, Elliot Spitzer Shore Parks, has the quarterback with a B. Well, maybe we would have went B+. Coaching A-. Offense C. Why? They did everything right. Defense A. Special teams A. Well, then how in the hell? Look at this moron. Then how the hell did you give the Jags a chance to beat you with 5? with a minute left in the game, and they're on the 37-yard line of the Eagles. If this is all true, how did you give a 2-7 football team a chance to beat you? If all this is true, quarterback B, coaching A, offense C, defense A, special, how did you give the shitty Jags a chance to beat you then? How was that game close? In this guy's eyes, this is a 37-17 game. How is this a 5-point win? Sirianni and the refs? Okay. I'll hang on that. By the way, I did think that Barkley was down. You know, I'll say it one more time to you, man. John McMullen and I got into a back and forth. John thinks I'm full of shit, and I think he is too at times. And that's okay. That's totally cool. That's what makes JAKIB great. We don't sound like WIP, where everyone sounds the same. I firmly believe the arrogance of Sirianni will cost the Eagles in the playoffs. His arrogance is a hazard. Hey, Harv, that's my contention today. That's my issue. One more, Xander, before I get to you here. Nick has better talent. That's why he has a good record. He's not better than those coaches. My issue is when you shit on Howie, wait. I shit on Howie because Howie Roseman and his analytics department and how they pick coaches and shit and all of that and getting in the way. Dude, somebody's telling Nick Sirianni, because if he has no accountability for it on a Monday on how he coached that game, then the front office is cool with it. Xander told me that Doug Peterson had to go to the principal's office after a game in Green Bay that you won. Why shouldn't Nick have to go to the principal's office for that shit performance? Wow. Why are you defending this guy? Let me get to it was really a great postgame show. Actually, those are my favorite kind of postgame shows when two people have something to say. Okay? Those are the best. You know, John and I had a great conversation after. I mean, we're not budging off of what we feel. But you know, Big Sills, I'll throw a curveball and hit you in the nuts. Okay? I will. I'll admit it. I'll scream at the fans like Nick. And there's a guy in the middle. Yeah, I tell you what, he's got a balancing act because in the morning he's got to sit down and listen to John. He's got to go, I kind of do see his side. Then he listens to Big Sills and he's like, shit. So he got a tough job in between the both of us here. Without further ado, the co-host of Birds 365, Big Z. Xander.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
What a day for you, dog.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, it's been a hell of a couple days. I absolutely love what I do right now. It's so much fun, honestly, doing this stuff and talking about this football team. And I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Yesterday's postgame show was one of the best. When two people got something to say, that's what makes great content. And I believe that the world needs more healthy discussions about things. You know, echo chambers are no good, Sills, no matter what side you're on. And I thought you guys both made good points. I maybe would have got rid of some of the personal jabs in there that you guys took at each other, but I got no issue with you guys going back and forth. No, I get it. I know it adds to it. It adds to it, but I love both of you, so it's tough to be in between the two.
I get it, man, and I think you have a tough job doing that too because you got to kind of keep it on the rails there. But here, without polluting it here and giving you leading questions here, give me your takeaway then on the Jags game.
Disappointed that the players played so good and it's been entirely overlooked again. This is now the second time this has happened this year. Now, I'm not saying the players played that great last time they got a win and it was overlooked because that was the Browns game. But, you know, Nick Sirianni just keeps becoming the lightning rod of this team, and I'm not sure that that's a healthy approach for a winning organization to be great late in the year. And that's my fear with the game. I think Nick Sirianni had obvious bad decisions in this game. Now, I will say I'm not of the opinion that every time he went for it or every time he was aggressive was a mistake. I do not view it like that, because where John is correct is that it has been an advantage for the Eagles. It was an advantage for Doug Peterson when he was here. So, but there's moments and there's circumstances and there's instances in a game and there's situational awareness that has to be used. And I believe that's completely lacking, because at what point do you look and say, is this aggression or is this idiocy? Right? Is this aggression or is this me being foolish and reckless? And I don't know if he's established where that line is. And, you know, you told a great story in the postgame show about learning that lesson, you know, for Jimmy Johnson learning that lesson. And will Nick learn it in time? That's my fear. And wait, let me add though. I'll add, I believe Nick Sirianni will learn the lesson. One day in the future, I believe he'll learn the lesson. Will it be in time for us to capitalize on one of the best rosters we've had in the city of brotherly love? That's my fear. That's my fear. And I don't understand why even John, right? Like, this is where I'm in the middle of you two, because I agree with some of the aggressive calls, but how do you not look at some of those decisions and say, this is just common sense? I don't care how good my percentage is on that 2-point conversion when they took a penalty. The point after gives me a 3-score game, and they get the ball after half.
Game's over.
There's no common sense used there.
No.
It's just like, I'm going to be aggressive, and that's my philosophy, and I don't care what any of the circumstances are. I believe that's bad thinking. That's
reckless.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where I'm wondering if they got to figure out where to draw that line. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be doom and gloom, honestly. I think the team has played great football, which makes me feel good. In the last couple of weeks, they've started, not played great yesterday, but you're seeing the offense come together. You're seeing Saquon. You're seeing, Jalen Hurts. Can I give you some stats on my man Jalen Hurts? The last 4 games, like, this is why I'm upset, right? Nick Sirianni's getting all the talking points. And I know you don't like to talk about Jalen, Nick.
No. I think a lot of those statistics versus these last couple opponents have to be tempered.
No, I agree with that. Well, listen, you can only play who's in front of you. But you're right. I'm not saying give him the MVP or give us a Super Bowl now, but I'm pointing to the trend of what's going on. Jalen Hurts, ready? Last 4 games. I'll try and be quick with it. Versus the Browns, he was 16 of 25, 64% completions, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a 126 rating. Versus the Giants, 10 of 14, 71%, 114 yards, 8.1 per attempt, 1 touchdown, 0 picks, 119 rating. At the Bengals, 16 of 20, 80%, 236, 11.8 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks, 132 rating. Jaguars, 18 of 24 is good for 75%. 230 yards, 9.6, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a 132 rating. That's an average of 128 rating in the last 4 games. Now, you're right. You're not playing the best teams, but you can only play who's in front of you. And I'd rather see him do that than what he did in the first 4 games.
Then why are you in 5-point decision-making games against the Browns and the Jags?
Nick Sirianni.
Okay.
Nick Sirianni.
Now, you're talking about the players trending in a good position, and they are, all of them across the board. The coaching staff is not trending, and the coaching staff has not gotten better, except for this. I think the coordinators have. I think the coordinators have right the ship. But how would you like I said last hour, Xander, how would you like to do your job, get you in a position to get the points that you're hired to get? Your coach parachutes in and goes, let's run a screen pass on 4th and 1 instead of the tush push because it was jammed at the goal line twice. Where that play for the last 5, 6, 7 years has been a staple of Philly. He decides to go, dude, was that analytics really? Would you think that was an analytic decision to go off the tush push? I'd like to know that.
I think Nick got in his head.
Taken off that.
I think Nick got in his head. They stopped it twice, and he got in his head and said, I got to go away from that. Now, if you're going to go away from that, then just don't go for it. But I see with that play, I don't have as much of an issue as going for it as I do going away from the tush push.
That's
Like,
right.
I would double down and be like, the chance
I
they
would have
stop
won
me 3
again.
times.
I would have ran it again.
Exactly. The chance they stop me 3 times
No
is
way.
so
It's
low.
slim.
But here, and let me just play devil's advocate real quick and play the other side, not the McMullen angle, but a different angle, trying to make reason. And I want you to be as objective as you can about when you respond to this. Is there a chance that Nick Sirianni is still early enough in his coaching career that you're kind of watching him evolve? I'm not saying the decisions yesterday weren't bad. They were putrid. I was very pissed off at them. But remember guys like Andy Reid. Remember Kyle Shanahan is a modern version who hasn't gotten better at it. But you remember what the big knock on Andy Reid used to be? He couldn't manage the game. He couldn't manage the clock.
Yep.
Right? Now, Nick Sirianni, I don't have a problem with how he seems to be coaching the football team. The in-game decisions have been spotty and questionable at best. Can he learn from that? Those are fixable things. Now, like I said, will he be able to do it in time? I don't know. But I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of potentially, he could get better and take this roster. I don't know. Maybe I'm being way too optimistic with that.
So I'm going to spend all that money and put a $200 million offense together, and I'm going to have a guy on the training job trying to get better in my offense and hoping that he gets better in time. And I'm going to put those superstar players, and I'm going to have an inadequate head coach to go and run that ship. I think that is ass thinking, and I want the absolute best coach that I could possibly find to run that thing. So let me get. I'm not picking on you, Xander, but by the way, there's a lot of people.
Nothing personal.
Hey, by the way, there's a lot of people that look at that and go on the job. So I'm going to spend all that money, acquire all that talent, bring in a brand new offensive coordinator, and I'm going to have a coach who's still learning on the job. Hey, dude, kick me in the head, but I mean, the weakest link in your offense is your head coach. The guy running the ship is your weakest link. Seriously,
dude. You make too much sense there. It just doesn't make sense. And look, I'm not even trying to be overly critical of Nick because I think Daz, puts it in. Andy Reid and Bill, they got 30 more experience, right? I mean, how many? You know what I mean? Nick is gonna learn, but to Sills' point, the time is now. And is Nick gonna cost us this thing? That's got to be the fear with everybody. That's certainly my fear, no doubt about it.
Xander, I'm gonna bring up a guy's name that this was a guy back in the day, and I doubt you probably never heard of this guy. And his name was George Seifert. And I'm going to show you something here. And I'm going to show you a guy. Sirianni kind of reminds me of Seifert. Okay. So let me show you something here about George Seifert. And then you tell me if you see the parallels here when you're talking about a coach like this. Now listen to this. Super Bowl champion, first year 14-2, next year 14-2, next year 10-6. This is with the Niners. 14-2, 92, 93, 10-6, 94, 13-3, 95, 11-5, 96, 12-4. So he gets fired after he lost that game. Goes to Carolina, 8-8, 7-9, fired 1-15. Could it be possible? Just possible. This guy's the beneficiary of an organization that has never had a coach with a losing record since 2000. Think of that. Chip didn't have a losing record. Andy didn't have a losing record. Doug didn't have a losing record. Why wouldn't it be that the organization, remember what we say here? They do a lot of things right, and they win a lot of good things. At the end of the day, he's a beneficiary of an organization that wins a lot. He's not a reflection of that record. The record is how the organization even sees it, Xander. They see that record of 40-19 as their record, not his.
Yeah.
I mean, They've never had a coach with a bad
Yeah, but
record.
what am I supposed to do? Take it away from him? I mean, this is where he was hired.
No,
You
but
know?
what I'm saying is it's not what it is. Look at the end game. How about this, Xander? We're not talking about in-game play calling decisions. We're talking about in-game decisions that hurt the football team's chances of winning when it matters. You should never. Here, let me read you something here. What Lane Johnson said. And what Lane said here about what he thought in that football game. Here's Lane. By the way, can I play that John Clark thing or no?
Yeah, from the locker room?
From the locker room.
Yeah, you want me to pull it up on here instead?
Yeah, please, if you can.
Yeah, let me do that. Give me a sec, all right?
Yeah.
And all super chats, we'll get to all of them. We always do them at the end of my segment.
Absolutely.
So thanks,
We
everybody.
promise you guys we will get to all of them. I swear. And how about this? How I'm talking here has rubbed some people the wrong way, and it even rubbed John the wrong way. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you listen to like what Bob says? Listen to a guy with an Oklahoma draw, and listen to one of your great football players, Lane Johnson, and what he says about what that game was for him on Sunday. I mean, Xander, I'll tell you what, I haven't even heard it yet.
You're talking about the 40-point comment, right, from Lane?
Yeah, the 40-point comment.
Let me pull it up. I'll pull it up now.
Somebody just put it on my Twitter page, by the way, or on my X account at Dan Sileo Show. Yeah, here's Lane Johnson talking about the game Sunday.
Yeah, lack of focus. I think, when you get up on teams, a sense of complacency can naturally come on you. And with the talent level in this league and the players, that are in this league, they will expose you. And, that's really what it's like week to week.
Here.
I hope that music better not flag this show. We pissed.
Here. Oh, wait a minute here. They had 21 first downs. They were 9 of 17 on third down. They had 450 yards of total offense. They ran the ball for 237. They held the ball for 40 minutes. And they won the turnover battle. I don't see a lack of focus. But how was that a game where the Jags had the ball game in their hands to win it? Well, get this. How do the Jags even are in this thing? 14 first downs, 3 of 10 on third down, 51 total plays, 215 total yards, 3 turnovers, dude. Get this. So you're telling me if the Jags have 2 less turnovers, they win?
Yeah, I mean, remember where they got back into the game, though? They did get back into the game on that bullshit call. It was a bullshit call. And, I'm not going to
put – you got to overcome that shit.
You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But it's easy to look at the game and be like, oh, man, Nick cost us. But, there were moments he had bad decisions. But that game turned on a head in 14 seconds. When Vic Fangio kind of defense got shredded. Maybe also, I think another thing that hasn't been talked about, Doug Peterson adjusted coming into the second half. That defense was not the same defense in the second half as it was in the first half.
Completely outcoached Doug, or Doug outcoached Nick and outcoached him. It was evident he outcoached him. Shit, I think Kevin Stefanski outcoached him in that game that kept Cleveland close in that ball game. Well, let me ask you one of the topic questions in our poll question. Do you think that Sirianni's going to cost the Eagles the Super Bowl? Or a shot at it this year?
Did he cost us last year? No, right?
The year before?
No, I mean last year in the playoffs.
Last year? You tell me, with that in-season decision-making that was going on. You tell me.
Maybe, because apparently it's been reported that he was the one that wanted the Desai out, which I thought was a stupid move at the time, and it looks like it was a stupid move now in turning back and looking at it. But and I don't really think he cost us in 22. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think it was Nick that cost us in that game.
I think those 2 coaches are highly underrated. That were the coordinators, and I will.
Well, I agree with that, but I'm saying
I'm backing down on that.
Is, will he cost us a Super Bowl? I don't believe Nick did anything that season to cost us a shot at winning that thing.
This guy is so not qualified to be your head coach. It's so.
I'm just going off of what I've seen, though. I mean, I can't. Yeah. Am I concerned? 100%. Can I sit here and say he's going to cost us a Super Bowl? I can't yet. I can't yet. Do I wonder how that's going to fare versus a better opponent? Yes, I do.
How about this? Has he gotten out of the way this year like I predicted he wouldn't?
No, he hasn't been out of the way. He's been in the way far too much. Far too much.
So you think he'll – how about this? You play Detroit like you did with those decisions that you made on Sunday. You beaten Detroit?
No.
Are you beating a healthy Niner team?
Yeah, I think we're better than the Niners this year. Now, they just opened up the practice window on Christian McCaffrey. We'll see, but, I mean, they're not the same team right now.
Well, no, right now, but we'll see.
I do think where I think you're right is I haven't counted them out. They're going to be in that playoff picture.
You won't be the same team without AJ either.
Yeah, we haven't gotten an update on
what did I hear?
AJ
Preliminary
yet.
3 to 5, maybe? Did I hear something like that? 3 to 5?
Here's what we know about next week. Dak Prescott's been out. He's been ruled out.
Okay.
And CeeDee Lamb, it came out today that something happened with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
He might play, but it's not really looking too great for CeeDee, so he might not even play. But
they got all kinds
and Nick Sirianni just spoke, and here's a tweet from Jeff McClain. Head coach Nick Sirianni declined to address injuries to A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley. Both had an MRI. Brown had an MRI this afternoon, and from what I understand, he isn't expected to miss a significant amount of time. And Barkley experienced some tightness in his back during the game, an NFL source says. He said after that he'll be ready for Sunday's game with the Cowboys. Yeah, Barkley, man, that hurdle was dope, but he took a shot on that play. You can see it to the back, and it kind of whiplashed him a little bit. So he definitely took a shot there, but nothing on AJ yet. We don't know. I don't expect him to play, though, to be honest with you.
According to John Clark, Nick Sirianni says, looking back on all decisions when it comes to going for it and 2-point conversions, he would not change any of those decisions. He says it is a lonely place when you don't convert a fourth down. He says he was doing everything he could to help this team win the game. And he says those decisions are made with trusting of the players.
Yeah, I don't know how we can view it like that. Well, you want to run through the decisions real quick? Because I've been waiting to do this. And I kind of charted them out a little bit to see, like, all right, where would I have...
hit the like button, all super chats will be read, I promise.
Where would I have went different with Nick Sirianni here? Because, let's just run through them. Second quarter, Eagles are up 10-0, right? Nick goes for it on 4th and 3 at the Jacksonville 22. That was the pass to A.J. Brown. That was late. That was broken up by, I think it's Darnell Savage.
What was the score?
10-0. 10-0. The Jacksonville 22. Now, me personally, I'll tell you right now, I have no issue with going for it there. That's the exact type of play that the Eagles have used in the past to build, to have an advantage being aggressive. They wanted to put them on their heels and get in the end zone there. The play call wasn't a problem. It was 4th and 3, and you're at the 22. I didn't have an issue with the play call there. The execution was bad, and Jalen Hurts was way late on the throw. But
so
I'm not going to criticize
you're going to pass up a 3-score opportunity that they would have to come back for to keep it a 2-score opportunity if they fail.
Well, 10 and 13 is still a 2-score
13,
game.
No. Okay, 7 and 3 is 10, and that add another 3. If you kick the field goal, it's 13-0. That's a 3-score.
Yeah. I didn't have a major issue with that decision.
Okay, so you put a team that has been struggling all year long, putting points up, and are 24th in points. You think that not keeping it a 2-score game with the worst thing that could happen versus going for it there and making it versus a team that's struggling at 2-6 and making it a 3-score where you might force them to have to throw the ball more, which means more turnovers.
But that's the next decision. The next one was second quarter up 16.
I question that one there because I may have kicked it there and had a 13-0 game, forcing them to have to throw the ball more, where Trevor Lawrence in the first half was struggling mightily. So go ahead.
I like that. I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna say, if I was the coach, I would have taken the field goal. I'm not going to kill him though for that decision.
He had 21 yards passing in the first half.
I'm not going to crush Nick for that decision. If I was a coach, I would have done differently. But
what do you think Belichick would have done there at that?
Taking the points. Belichick's old school thinking. Second quarter. Now this is the one that's egregious to me. Second quarter, they were up 16-0. They just got in the end zone, right? And almost ended in the first half. A penalty gave them a 2-point try from the 1. they go for 2 from the 1. Now, that's where you could have made it a 17-point game, and you make it a 3-score game there instantly.
No, if it's 16, you put 3 on the board, it's 19-0.
No. This is off a touchdown.
Oh, okay, off a
So
touchdown.
they got the touchdown, and then they went for the 2 because there was a penalty.
Got it.
So they gave him a yard.
What would the difference have been?
Exactly. That's what I said. An extra point. That's it. Versus you take the point after, you make it a 3-score game. Like, that's I don't care what John says. I don't care what anybody says about how aggressiveness. That is a bad decision. You take 1 there,
Okay.
It's a 3-score game.
We can debate the first one if you look at it score-wise. The second one, I think it's absolutely ridiculous for 1 point.
It's egregious.
It made not any sense for 1 point.
No doubt. Jay Brown says if the field goal is missed, everyone's saying, yeah, what a perfect world that would be, Jay Brown. Both plays have probability, Jay Brown. Which one is a higher probability of success, Jay Brown? Correct. That's a stupid take by you, dude. Shit, you can miss a point after, Jay Brown. That's a dumb comment.
But get this. What he's doing is missing a point after versus a 2-point conversion. What do you think has a higher probability of failure? The 2-point conversion.
Right.
How dumb are you?
Next one, third quarter, they're up 22-0. A penalty, same thing. Gives them a 2-point conversion from the 1. They wanted to make it 24-0 instead of 23-0. I don't see why. See why.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, what's the end game there for that?
I don't know. What does 24 do for you that 23 doesn't do? I don't understand.
Right. It's still a 3-score it's still a 3-score game. I don't dude, do you understand when I'm watching this game? I'm sitting here going like this. What's the point? Why is he doing this? What's the point?
I don't get it. And then all of a sudden,
by the way, I'm going to be transparent with you on something here. I won't lie to you. Seth Joyner was texting me the whole time during the game going, are you watching this? And I went like this. How could you not?
Tell him to fucking come on the show and stop being afraid of JAKIB.
He goes like this to me. He goes, dude, why is he keeping them in it? I'm like, I don't get it.
Next one. See? And this is where the next one is where the tables turned, where it started to show it had an effect on the game, right? Because I just gave you a decision at 22-0, right? Okay, easy to make an easy, right? Oh, you're not worried about nothing there. Let's go for 2. All right. All of a sudden, it's 22-16. Now I'm up by 6. I could have been up by 7, and really I should have been up by 8 at this point. Nick goes for 4th and 1 at the Jacksonville 25, resulting in a turnover on downs. I mean, it's 22-16. You could take a field goal and make it a 9-point game.
Right.
Like, if there's ever a moment that you can make it another possession game, that should be the only thing you're worried about. I don't care what the analytics say. Now, if you're arguing, okay, it doesn't make it a 2-point game or 3-score game versus
the analytics should say that.
I don't get those are the decisions that boggle my mind when the easy play makes it another possession game. And that's where those are the decision making that's the decisions I have a real problem with.
Is that
the last one was fourth quarter up 28-16. Nick goes for 2 from the 2 because being up 12 is the same as 13.
Yeah. Tell me what he was fighting for here with this.
Yeah. I don't know.
Tell me what he was fighting. Dude, this is why I say the coach kept him in that game. Do you realize the Jags didn't have to make really, but maybe how many plays do you think the Jags made in that game to keep it close? 7? Because I can't find where
be 7.
They were nice. They had the ball for 20 minutes and they almost won it.
I know. It's unbelievable. Now, again, that fumble was a massive turn. But again, that's why you have to factor that into your coaching decisions. Like that can't just be left out there. Oh, and if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be in this spot. Well, that's why you make it a 3-possession game. Simple, right? I mean, simple. There's moments you got to take the points, and there's moments to be aggressive.
And then, I thought about what you said to me in the post-game show last night. By the way, guys, please hit the like button about Barkley. And I went back and I watched the play, and I said, He gets the first down. They probably get an additional 12 yards. Makes the field goal a lot easier for Elliott. You probably get an opportunity there to kick an easier field goal than a 57-yarder. Instead, you turn the ball over and you give him field position. That's a meltdown a little bit there, a mental meltdown there a little bit by Barkley and he has had those meltdowns that you said.
He's had a couple of them this year.
He's had a couple nuclear meltdowns like that.
I wouldn't call him nuclear.
Well, one cost him a game.
That's true.
Okay.
He's had a couple of those decisions. Wait, let me just clarify. Ronald, that's not the one I was actually talking about, Ronald. I think, the way I view the 57-yarder at the end was now you trot the kicker out from 57 to make up for the points you left on the board the last 3 possessions.
No.
That's how I viewed that, but that's not the one I was talking about, Ronald. I was talking about one that was much closer in. It would have been a very easy kick for Jake.
Do you think the front office? Do you think really the front office, and he looks down at these analytics and he sees things, and he's been told to be as aggressive as possible?
Who, Nick?
Do you think he's told that?
I mean, I do think there's an organizational philosophy involved that is telling them to be aggressive, but I don't know if it's more Nick or more organization. I don't have the answer for you. I don't know. I mean, which one do you think it is? I think Nick likes being aggressive, but does he like being aggressive? I don't think
Nick Sirianni could tie his shoes without being told. Okay.
You might be right about that. That's why Doug Peterson walked out of here. That's why he walked out of here. He couldn't take it anymore being told what to do. I mean, it's the worst. Imagine if anybody that's at work, right? I mean, you don't want to be told all day what to do, how to do your job, and how to do everything. And if you don't do it this way, you're fired, or
Or we want you to do it this way with no input.
It's not a good approach. It's not a good approach to anything in life, and it's certainly not a good approach for an organization in the NFL. And that's why you don't see any of the great organizations handling their coaching staff like that. None of them do it. None of the great organizations in this league do that.
And I made an example of Dallas. I'm like, so let me get this right. Dan Quinn's got a 7-2 team, and they're leading the East. And get this, you got Kellen Moore now that you fired, who's the offensive coordinator of a 6-2 team. And Xander, you let both those guys walk out the door, and you didn't give Mike McCarthy a contract extension. Okay, who are you looking for then? I mean, you had the guys in your building.
Well, that's another organization that's shitty, right? Too much meddling from the top. Look at the great organizations, man. Andy Reid is able to do what he wants. Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, able to do what he wants. I mean, you got to – if you don't trust the coach enough to handle your organization from a football side, he's not qualified to be a head coach. If you can't put it in his hands and say, you're the head football coach, the buck stops with you, then why are you making him a head coach? It's more of a community coach.
Yeah, no, it's
more of like the appointed guy who is the lightning rod. It's not a head coach.
He's a figurehead.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, and then get this. Here was my problem, and John couldn't really answer it. So you go with the tush push, you get stuffed twice, then you throw a flare pass on the other one to go for it on 4th and 1. He was talking about player confidence. So obviously the coach lost confidence in the play.
Yeah, clearly. I said that. He got in his head there. Clearly. I mean, why go away from that? And by the way, the play they called was
dopey.
It was dopey. I mean, if you're going to do that, run a slant.
No shit. Have Barkley go across the middle.
Yeah, or Devontae. I don't know if AJ was still in it.
Or have Hurts run it.
Yeah. I mean, that was just a dumb play call.
Okay.
I mean, the minute they started rolling that, the very second I saw that play develop, I said, this isn't going to be good. And it didn't work out.
How come most of the times after every game we're talking about Sirianni and not the player's performance?
Hey, that's how I started the segment, isn't it? The dude is just taking away everything from the players, and
he takes the air out of the room.
It's but the problem with it is deeper than that. Like, yeah, it sucks he's taking the air out of the room. Your coach in the NFL is supposed to give you a competitive advantage.
Yes.
He is supposed to help you win games along with your roster. You are not supposed to win games in the NFL in spite of your head coach. The only reason we won yesterday is because we have a talented roster. That's it. Right.
That's completely it.
And that's where it's like, what is Nick doing? We're winning games in spite of him. And I asked the question to John, and I had Jeff on this morning too. And, I get it. And John wasn't going to relent. And, I wasn't going to sit there and have the
What
same
did
debate
Jeff
that we
say?
had in the post game. But I asked, where does Nick make this team better? Right? That's the question. If you want to give him the aggressiveness and you think that's been good, okay, fine. Where does he make the team better? And I'm not talking about 22 anymore. I'm talking about right now. Past success does not guarantee future success in nothing. It's an old saying in the financial world. So Nick saying, "Oh, we've been successful." That's what I was going to say to John. "Oh, we've been successful in the past." Okay. Why does that mean you don't analyze the circumstance of the situation? And I'll ask again. And for the people in the chat who like Nick, and I don't have a problem with you liking Nick, believe me, I want to believe in Nick too because I want to believe in this football team.
Liking has
Where
nothing
does he
to
make
do
our
with
team
winning.
better?
He doesn't. He doesn't. He's a liability. He is an absolute liability when it counts the most. And in a game of inches, in a game of parity, and in a game where you have to have the war of attrition. By the way, so the Eagles are going to be potentially 2 weeks, 1 week without AJ against Dallas. Okay. The one thing that I enjoyed watching Jalen Hurts do was that offense didn't fall to shit this time around. Why? Because they're running it more.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I'll ask you this here.
Well,
then.
hey, let's give Smitty some credit, man. He made 2 massive catches.
That kid has done everything I thought he couldn't do.
Also, that one play, not the touchdown throw to Devontae, the deep throw to Devontae that got him to the 12 or 13-yard line. That was a play action from the pocket.
He's great.
Dime by Jalen. I looked at that play, said, "There,
you know who he reminds me of? Marvin Harrison.
Smitty, I like that comp.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
He reminds me of Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, that's pretty good comp actually.
He's got a lot like soft-spoken guy, big volume numbers. I mean, he kind of reminds me of that.
The Jew. He makes us better by forcing us to win with one hand behind our back.
Look at my boy Dez. I love you, brother. Hey, do you think it's sustainable that Jalen Hurts can rush the ball 200 times this year?
It's a little scary to think about, but I think that has to be the approach because I think that's what makes him better. I mean, I gave you the numbers on Jalen Hurts in the start of the segment here, where Jalen's been on a tear. I mean, the average in the last four games, he's 60 of 83. It's 72% completions. He's got 844 yards, 10.2 yards per attempt, 6 touchdowns and 0 picks through the air, and a 128 rating. I think it's pretty obvious that what they're doing right now with him in the running game and with Saquon has helped him as a passer.
Okay.
I mean, look at the stats from the first 4 games to the last 4. Those are pretty incredible stats. I'll give him a lot of credit for those.
This is what Jalen Hurts is on pace for right now. 195 rushing attempts and 725 rushing yards. That's a running back season. So you're going to have him carry the ball probably as many times as the majority of the running backs in the league are going to carry it. And then you're going to turn around and ask him to throw the ball 500 times too. And that's going to be your formula. By the way, I think that is the formula. But the difference that you have with Todd Monken in Baltimore, they don't rush Lamar as much because that guy in the backfield, he is going to carry the ball.
Yeah.
Get this. And then Barkley, take a look at Barkley's carries. Barkley's on pace for 340 carries. Most he's ever had in his career are 290. You know, the guy in Baltimore has averaged, Xander, 335 carries his entire career. He's used to that shit.
Yeah, that's
Barkley's
insane, man.
not. Do you think both of these men are capable of holding this up where you're going to have 500 carries between 2 players going into the second half of the season? 500 carries between 2 guys.
All right, but let me ask you this before I even answer. What's the alternative? Because the first 4 weeks they had a bullshit approach, and me and you and Bob Brown and all the great people of JAKIB Nation said, "Why are we forcing Jalen to be somebody he's not?" So he's going to have to be able to hold up because this is the best approach for him and for this football team to potentially win a Super Bowl.
But I'm asking you, do you believe he holds up? And do you believe
I believe Jalen will hold up because he's never not held up.
Well, he's missed a couple games in 22 because
A couple games, though. I mean, he was available in the postseason. A couple games. You're not talking about season-ending injury.
What's his name said, though? He was hurt in that NFC title game, and he was hurt in that game against the Giants because he told Peter King, he goes, I could barely raise my arm in that game.
Yeah.
And it just so happens it was Daniel Jones, who, by the way, was pathetic yesterday. I think the guy had no passing yards in the first half.
No
I'm not
way.
sure I've ever seen that where he had no passing yards.
Game had me a little messed up because
he had no passing yards in the first half. I've never seen that stat from an NFL quarterback. 0 passing yards. And so, I mean, yeah, and you played McCaffrey in the NFC title game because Reddick knocked the guy out. So, again, I think this is a high – you're right, though. What's the other opportunity? Trading deadline? Do you go get another guy like you did with a die to help out Barkley? Because let me tell you something. Every time they put Gainwell in there, I don't know.
Like you did with who? Ajayi?
Yeah, somebody like that.
Yeah, I got you. I don't. The problem with that is I don't see him investing more in the running back.
Well,
like is Howie gave up? Huh?
I'm talking about a helper. I'm not talking about a draft pick and shit like that. I'm talking about signing somebody.
I think they like Kenny Gainwell. I mean, they like him more than the fans like him. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. So I don't think they're going to make a move. I mean, I'm not anticipating a move at running back.
Hey, okay, you want a positive? Let me give you one here. Hey, dude, this Zach Bond guy is making me forget about Bryce Puff and stuff.
He is, man.
I don't believe Huff's hands hurt.
Yeah, he played 5. You know, Jeff Kerr gave the stat this morning, and I said it on the show, and John's like, oh, wait, maybe you're right about that. You know, John's like, oh, he only had 6 snaps, everybody.
6 snaps, he got hurt? Where was that?
Where the fuck is my milk carton? I need to get that thing back up here. Where is my milk carton?
Oh, wait a minute. Zach Bond is making me go like this. Dude, did you see those first 4 plays of the game? It looked like he was the only guy in the field.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how Josh Sweat has picked his game up like a son of a bee.
He's quietly putting together a nice season.
I think he's going to have double-digit sacks again this year, man.
Sweat's doing good, man. Sweat looks good out there. He's hitting hard, too. He's got some extra power.
Making plays in that
older man age, right? I mean, like Brandon Graham's got that old man strength. I think Josh Sweat's getting some of that. He looks more powerful to me.
By the way, Mr. Potato Head, Jordan Davis had 20 snaps again. Come on, dog.
I know, and the problem with that is they were in passing most of the game. So I think the same thing is going to be used where, the Jags were trying to pass because they were down. And I'm like, oh, good. So we just drafted a guy that
40 snap. He's played 40 snaps in 2 games.
Yeah, it's too low, man.
Too low.
Too low.
Holy shit, man. Mr. Potato Head. That's what he looks like to me right now. It's Mr. Potato Head. I don't get it, man. I mean, I think Carter played well. I watched it. I think he played
Carter's
well.
Good, man. Carter's only issue is he got to show up, and he does. When he wants to, he clearly is.
Nakobe didn't have a good game. Nakobe didn't play well in that game.
No, he didn't. But, hey, listen. He made the play when you needed him to make the play.
Okay. Hey, he did. He made one play back. It was a great play, though. It was.
Well, I don't think he had a great game, but he also wasn't burnt toast.
No.
Like, they weren't picking on Nakobe all day.
Excuse me. It's the Jags. What did you think they were going to do?
Well, they kind of had a couple people burnt toast in that second half. They moved the ball in that second half.
Back to being Big Dan. Gardner Johnson is garbage.
Yeah, he's not very good. He's not.
Dude, Coop! I love that kid.
Coop is a beast. Coop is a beast.
You see,
you were wrong about both of our draft picks.
White Lightning's back there hitting.
Yeah, I forget what people are calling them. There's some funny ass nicknames floating around.
White Lightning.
We got some news on AJ Brown.
Please.
Adam Schefter just tweets out. Looks good.
National guy, not a local guy.
Yeah, that's how the Eagles do it with national guys. Yep. Tests today showed that the knee injury that caused AJ Brown to leave Sunday will leave him being considered day to day. Eagles breathing a sigh of relief that Brown's injury is not more serious. I got it. So thanks everybody. And then cue ball drops it in.
Game tops then. So yeah.
Yeah, one game I would say tops. And I wonder if they'll take the approach of Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Maybe no CeeDee Lamb. Like the Cowboys might be worse than the Jaguars coming into this game.
Dude. What a break for the Eagles. They're
I
playing all
know,
these
man.
dog
They
shit
got
teams.
2 games versus the Cowboys, and they are just
Great.
putrid. I mean, our man, shout out to 304, but holy 304, it's November 4th, and you're in here making super chats about draft picks, my guy.
I heard him. I saw him.
Holy shit,
Let's
man.
get to those super chats here because I got Gary Cobb coming
Wait,
up.
can I just make a comment that it could be worse, everybody? All right. I know we're upset about Nick, but we got a resident Cowboy fan fucking asking about you. It's November 4th.
Hey.
Draft is like 9 months away.
304. He's right.
It's
man.
gonna be a long them Dallas Cowboys content creators. They gonna know every single man on the draft
I
big
said
board.
the Cowboys wouldn't win 5 games?
You did. You were right about that.
How
And you
about
were
this
right about the Commanders too.
How about this one here too? You ready? I was right about Nick getting in the way. How about this? I got the Cowboys with the 4th pick in the draft.
That's
And
hilarious.
they take Shador Sanders and they trade Dak.
You want to take Shador Sanders? I don't want Shador Sanders.
No. Or wait.
I'm starting to like that Cam Ward guy, though.
They take Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter is a dog.
They take Travis Hunter.
I would love to have Travis Hunter on my football
team. You spend $60 million a year on Dak and you spend $36 million a year on CD. And all you get is a podcaster, a guy screaming, and a guy going like this. We fucking suck.
If I was Gary, would you sign Micah?
Hey, no way. I trade him.
Really?
Yeah, I would trade him.
You can't let a guy like that walk out the room.
I don't think he's that guy. I don't. I think he gets killed on the run. I think he shows up, and I think he fades in the second half.
It would just drive me crazy, man. It's a shit show over there in Dallas.
Good.
I mean, they're not even putting up a semblance of a football team.
If you're an Eagle fan, you're cheering this.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm still not ready to like you're crowning the Commanders like they're
Woo! 7-2, win 7 consecutive ball games. Best quarterback in the NFC East is Jaden Daniels.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Where are you getting Hurts has played great against elite teams?
Where are you getting that Jaden Daniels is better than a guy that won an NFC title?
Oh, yeah. Hey, keep beating those bums.
Gary Cobb will school you. Ask G Cobb what he thinks.
I'm going to. Hey, by the way, Nick Sirianni, dude, in Philadelphia, Gary may have even played for this guy. I'm going to start calling him Richie Kotai Sirianni.
We had a Kotai. Wait, let's rip through supers real quick. We'll get to G Cobb in like 3 minutes. Always Sunny says Hurts has 7 20+ yard touchdown passes this season, most in the NFL. How you like them apples, Big Sills? He got a cannon.
Yeah, hey, that's right. Great against the Jags and great against the Browns. Go ahead.
Yeah, AJ's day to day. Josh Herman says, do you think he's improved his progressions? It seems some of his sacks, you can see him looking around. I do think he's improved his progressions.
He gave up 3 sacks.
Huh?
He had 3 sacks.
All right.
Okay.
I mean,
thank God it was the Jags.
Hey, they got a good edge rusher. They got good edge rushers over there.
They do have 2 good edge rushers.
Ramir says, only thing he do is having players fight for him. Nick does do that. The players do fight for Nick. Whether they like him or not, I'm not sure, but they do fight for him. Flexing and Steppin says, CeeDee Lamb has a sprained AC joint, expected to suit up Sunday. Dak is out. Yeah, that's looking like a snooze fest, that game.
Thanks for all the super chats, guys.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Sydney Family says, coaches need to be calm and methodical. Nick is erratic and selfish, ego-driven. I agree. That's why Baylor's so calm.
I can't wait till Angelo Cataldi comes on, too, at 5:30.
Yeah,
so we're going to get to Gary here in a second. We got a couple more super chats.
Yeah, well, I'm almost on them. We'll get through them. Okay. Deep Fried says, we got 33.7% of dumb coaches. It matches some of this fan base. Dumb comments, dumb play calls.
Fantastic take right there.
Premier says, you can't say those decisions would cost us if we played the Lions because the Jags stopped us doesn't mean the Lions had done the same.
You're right. The Jags are just as good as the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions are a lot better than the Jags, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Nosty Beats says, coaching blunders aside, I still get very concerned that this defense will disappear for an entire quarter and allow shit teams to score at will. That will cost you in the playoffs. I agree with that.
Yeah, how did the Jags, who did nothing in that game, have a chance to win it?
The defense has been good, though. I can't be too picky on them, man. They've been solid.
They had 14 first downs, and they only had the ball for 20 minutes, and they had a last score opportunity to win.
They gave up 220 yards. It's an NFL game.
Oh, Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I mean,
Are
come
you
on, man.
crazy? The Jags make a shitty play at the end of the game, and they could have won the game, and that's a 2-7 football team.
Yeah, but I'm not putting all that on the defense. That fumble, some of those coaching decisions by
Oh, I
Sirianni,
know.
I think more of that's there.
The field
Des
sucked.
the Hebrew says, Xander, do you remember when we spoke about after the Saints game, and I said Nick is taking points off the board, not kicking the field goal was going to get him fired? That might happen, Des. We'll see what happens there, man.
Thanks, Des the Joe.
Appreciate you, Des. He said, Deep Fried says, I feel like Nick has been messing with the wrong type of powder to make that many bad calls. Only booger sugar can cloud a judgment like that.
All right.
Appreciate
All
it,
right.
Deep
I
Fried.
got to get to Gary here.
I know. We got 2 more. Let's go.
Okay.
I mean, he's good. Sig Lord says, in ESP's defense, it's hard to watch the game when your head is so far up Sirianni's ass. Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking
Elliot
of.
Spitzer Shore.
Did you I think you already read that one, right?
Yeah, I read that guy.
All right. We're all good, man.
Holy shit. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. I'll tell you what,
I'm looking
man.
forward to JAKIB.
Hey, hang on. JAKIB and then also Angelo at 5:30. I can't wait because I'm trying to – Ray Rhodes was a decent coach, was the NFL Coach of the Year at one time. Here's a guy here. So the tush push doesn't work, and he throws a flare pass. I mean, I'm trying to – let me do this, Andrew. Great stuff as always, man. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Thank you, Silas. Appreciate everybody in the chat.
All right. We'll get to all your super chats here. I got to bring in the man from Fox 29. I'm not going to pollute this as much as I can. I want to hear G Cobb's comments. Let's bring in Gary Cobb now. Gary, how you doing, brother?
Good. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Gary? I can hear you, Gary.
Okay.
I got you. You tell me, Gary, what's your initial takeaways from the Jags game yesterday? You've heard all the what's going on around with everybody. I don't want to pollute the question. You tell me how you saw that game.
Well, of course, ultimately, they got the win. I was really relieved that they did not blow that game against a team that they had outplayed, for the entire game. That the play with Saquon, which was the one where he was, was that a tackle or did he just fumble the ball on his own and all that? For that to turn into a touchdown, 8 points the other way, really, I did not want to see them lose that game. I mean, come on. That was much like the Falcons game, to lose a game where really you should have won the game. So the play by N'Kobe there in the end zone was a great play and really allowed everybody to walk out of there because people were very angry, okay? People are angry at Nick with all the stuff with the 1 point, 2 point. Kick the extra point. Come on. Crap. What are you doing, man? It's like you wonder, like, what is going on up there with him? But for the team to lose a game that the other team, come on. They're in the second half where they got 150 yards or 120 yards of total offense, and the Eagles got 400 and some yards of total offense, and you're going to end up losing this game? Fortunately, they got out and did not lose the game. Or I don't know whether I don't know what they would have done with Nick then. I mean, come on.
How about this, Gary?
Yeah.
To your point here, explain this one to me and how this team had a shot here. Like you said, the first downs, the Jags had 14, Eagles had 21. The Eagles were great on third down, 9 of 17. The Jags were 3 of 20. They were 30%. Here's another telling stat. The Jags had only 50 plays in the game. The Eagles had 73. Total yards. The Eagles had 450. The Jags had 215. They ran the ball for 237 yards on 46 attempts, and the Jags had 60. The Jags lost the turnovers. They had 3-1. Tell me this then. How in the world does a team like that have a last score opportunity, driving the ball down the field, a 2-6 football team? How does that work, Gary, where your team's in a position to win the ball game? Is it coaching? Or did they play down to their competition?
Well, no, I didn't think they. I thought some, you got to give some of it to coaching because you know, even though they were moving the ball, they didn't have all the points on the board that they should have. You know, like there's sometimes take the field goal. Like what do you like the one time where they ran the fourth down play? What was that play? Where Jalen's running all over the place? Like what are you doing? Like what was the design of that play? Just totally ridiculous. Kick the field goal, especially then. Kick the field goal and you're up by 9. They got to score 2 times to win. Why do you not take that? It's like whatever, 40-some yard field goal. You wonder, what are you doing? And then, of course, they wound up, you know, having them kick from he's got to make a 60-yard field goal. It's just that all of the nonsense by the goal line, man, like with the extra point, like kick the extra point. You know, whatever, it just doesn't seem like where you wonder what's going on over there, even though they were totally outplaying them. You know, Jacksonville was doing nothing offensively, and you don't put the game away. That was frustrating. I mean, a lot of people were very angry about that, but times I really wonder what is going on. I don't know about what after the 2-point, you know, the 2-point conversion, the extra point.
You know how many times he had a chance, Gary, to make it a 3-score game? Instead, he's going for these 1 points that it had no bearing if you don't get it. I mean, my problem is, you know, he says he's going to put, and he says that, by the way, he says his presser today, that he wouldn't have changed anything of any of his decision-making. Gary, does he worry you that he's going to cost them a game that matters, like in the playoffs? Because with that kind of decision-making, dude, Doug Peterson outcoached him. Because all the numbers I gave you, for them to have a chance to win the game at the end, Doug outcoached him.
Yeah, you definitely would say that. I mean, I don't know what he sees, but it's not about all of this nonsense with the extra point. Like, kick the extra point, man. You know, it's not about all that. But I was very frustrated at looking at that game because they had completely outplayed this team, and yet it wasn't showing up on the scoreboard. And I think ultimately it's going to wind up costing them if they keep on with the nonsense. And I don't see the design of what exactly he's doing. I don't see that it's making this team better. So I think it's very frustrating to get into that. And the shame of it is you see the play of some of the guys. I mean, for Devontae to come in and make the plays he made in the game with the game on the line. And, of course, Saquon, look at the way this guy played. I mean, on that running play where they give the ball to him on that draw down by the goal line, and the guy just flat out outruns the entire Jacksonville team to go in untouched. You got guys playing some great football, but you don't just go ahead. That should have been a walk.
Oh, my God. I should have been a blowout. Yeah. You got a guy who's like Roger Kingdom and a high hurdler. He's sprinting down the sidelines like that. Guys are putting great performances up, and you got a coach taking 9 points off the board. Think about that here. Instead of a 5-point win, you should have won that thing by 4 scores. Instead, what you're doing is you kept momentum going for them.
That's right. With this nonsense, all the nonsense after they score a touchdown, you got the nonsense, and you're not going and taking points when you go down there. If there's a time, go ahead and kick the field goal, man. What is he doing? And then the plays and everything. It was really just frustrating. But I think I'm seeing a lot of pluses with the team though. Defensively, offensively, you see people really stepping up and playing well. And I want to see AJ get back out there. Of course, he's very important to this football team.
It's been reported a couple minutes ago, Gary, that it's day to day.
Well, that's good. Day to day is good. You didn't want to hear that he,
3 to 5.
Well, you don't want to hear about him taking any time off and everything because he's important to the team. But I think I am, happy with certain things with the way the pluses. They've got some great players, and I just think it's a matter of them letting these guys play. But defensively, to see the linebackers play as well as they did, and force those turnovers, and everybody was getting in on it, and see the defense playing better. So the defense is definitely playing better than they were earlier in the year. And offensively, you know, they've got some great players. You just hope it all comes together. But I tell you, boy,
wow,
they sure can keep you up at night.
Absolutely here. Hey, Gary, is it fool's gold, or is it you're seeing progress when the last 4 weeks combined record, we're looking at it like 9, I think it's 9-24 versus these teams like the Browns, the Jags. The Bengals aren't as bad as what their record is, in my opinion. The quarterback's playing a great year. They did a nice job on him. The Giants are awful. The quarterback didn't even have any passing yards, Daniel Jones, in the first half last week, or on Sunday, I should say. I mean, they played some absolutely poor football teams. Can it be fool's gold, or are you seeing between the lines? Is there something that you're seeing where you're seeing trends? You and me work off of trends. We don't really just basically look at one game like the Jag game. Do you look at it that way still to this day, where you're looking at the team is trending in a great place, in a great way defensively, and you're starting to see the trending kind of what they did in 22 offensively?
Yeah, well, you know, I look at the defense. I liked a lot of these young players that they're putting out there. A lot of these guys are growing, they're maturing. Of course, you know, you look at guys, you know, they're young, but you see the talent, and you see guys that are working, and they're getting better. They're getting seasoned on the pro level. So I think they're going to be able to play against anybody. You know, I really do. I think that I look in the secondary. I see young guys that I think can play against anybody, and they're learning the game. As they get into this end of the season, you get these teams that are experienced and everything. You know, they need to learn. So it's good that they're getting opportunities to get out there and play on the professional level. I feel better about the pass rush, where they seem to be getting more consistent. So you got a defense that's going in the right direction. And as I said, you know, with excellent play of the linebackers, they had an outstanding game. So to see the defense going in that direction. Offensively, you're seeing some of the same things where they're playing better. They're making plays that you want to see, that you need to have a pro quarterback. The way Jalen is playing, it's going in the right direction. So I definitely am encouraged by what I'm seeing. You know, of course, they're playing against Jacksonville. I would have liked to see them put them away. You know, I would have liked to seen that where you put the team away, and that's part of being a good football team. But I do like a lot of the pieces. I think a lot of the pieces are coming together. So, you know, it's going to be exciting. You got Dallas coming up. I know Dallas is, you know, if you don't have Dak, that's not the same team. But ultimately, everything's going in the right direction.
You got Washington and Baltimore coming up on the back end of that. So that's going to tell us a lot more.
That's going to tell us a lot more. But, you know, go ahead and beat the people on the schedule. They're doing that. So I think this team is going in the right direction.
How about this here? A couple last ones for you. Josh Sweat. Let's start there. I mean, he looks like Josh Sweat 22 now. You're seeing pressure. You're seeing him play the run. He's playing with force. I mean, he was really bringing it. And then on the other side, the guy that makes you forget about Bryce Puffin stuff with his 5 reps that he had in the game, this kid, Zach Bond, hey, Gary, he started the football game. I thought he was the only guy on the field for the defense. I mean, this guy was all over the place. Have you ever seen something like that where a guy was on special teams his entire career? All of a sudden, they plug a guy in, and all of a sudden, he goes on to play 10 years. Well, maybe I'm doing something here. Maybe I'm naming you. Did you play right away like that? Did you have to come up through the special teams? Because you were a 12-year, 13-year guy yourself. Is that how you got to being a 10-plus veteran?
Well, you know, I really didn't get going really to my 3rd year. That's when I starting the whole way and everything. So to some degree, but he clearly is a good football player. I mean, you can see that the guy can run. He's a good athlete. He's a good one-on-one tackler, which is what you got to do as a linebacker in the NFL. You got to make open field tackles because you got all these receivers on the field, and he's shown that he's a tremendous athlete, and the guy is a playmaker. And he's done that long enough to where you can see that this guy just, you say he's a late bloomer or whatever you want to say. He's a good football player. So I saw something where they said they should sign him. They should. Yeah. They should keep him here. They don't need to let him go somewhere else. He doesn't need to get out of here. So and you need your linebackers making a lot of plays with today's game because you're out there in open field. You got to make open field tackles. You got to be able to cover receivers in certain spaces and everything. He's shown all of that. So I'm definitely enthused by what they've shown. And I think they got a lot of kids in the secondary that are also showing a lot. So I think the defense is starting to come along where they could be playing against a good offense and go out there and be able to compete against them and hold them in check. So I definitely think this team is going in the right direction.
Last question for you. Jalen Hurts is on pace for 200 carries. That's an awful lot of carries for
that's a lot by a quarterback.
Right now he's at 90 with another 9 ball games to be played now. So we're looking at probably around 195, 200 carries. Is that sustainable? And you got Barkley that's trending at 350. Most he's ever carried, Gary, was his first year at 290. We're talking about a guy who's had 2 knee injuries in the last 4 years. Both these guys are essential in how that offense is looking, obviously, right now. Are you concerned about that, or do you just ride that horse?
Well, I know the game yesterday probably is more than, you're not going to go any higher than that. I know he's up in the 20s.
27.
Yeah, see, now you probably want
Hurts had 14, and he had 27.
Yeah, you probably don't want to go any more than that with Saquon. And I don't know that you're going to, go over 10 every game with Jalen. So I think they just got into a flow of things. You don't want to go any numbers any higher than those because you want to keep these guys healthy. At the same time, this is football. A guy can carry the ball one time and get hurt. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But you do want to be smart about it. And I think that if you get AJ out there, I think that opens things up more. But I do like the way the team is going. I think that the offensive line has established themselves to where they feel that they're going to put Saquon in position to break something every, 4 or 5 carries. So I think this team has gotten to the point to where there's a physical part of the way they play it on both sides of the ball. And the physical part of the game is part of the game. So I do think that this team has got a chance to have a big year. And we all know that's what that means, is that you got to be playing your best ball at the end of the season. And hopefully that's what happens. But they sure can make things exciting that you shouldn't be boring.
I'm going to ask you out the door here. Because who's a shittier situational play calling head coach, James Franklin of Penn State or Nick Sirianni? Hey, I'm just like, why do I look at the Eagles head coach and I see James Franklin and I see Nick Sirianni? I can't tell the difference, dude.
I looked at both of those games, man, and I tell you, you're just saying all you do is shake your head, man. These guys, they have a way of every week you're going like, what is it now? I mean, these guys, and I joke with some of the guys over there at the station who are Penn State guys, and then to have them lose that game like that, man. I just said, you know what? It just, some things never change, man.
He likes John with the fans too, man. I mean, he's just like, he's like Nick a lot, man. James Franklin. Gary, get these numbers. He's 1-14 against top 5 teams, and he's 1-10 versus versus Ohio State.
I tell you, I feel sorry for the guy, man. It just seems like every year, and he's going out there where they got a talented team. Especially, this was not really, this Ohio State team, that wasn't a special team. Come on. Figure they should be able to beat these guys sometime. I mean, they got talent on the same level. but they just can't get it done. I hope we don't experience that with Nick and the Eagles, man, because people were not happy over there, man. They lost that game.
Oh,
people were not happy over there at the stadium. They'd have lost that game, boy.
Hey, this is personally for you here. So we had Michael Irvin on last week, right?
Yeah.
Michael Irvin told me a little secret that I think that I had to tell you, and I told Gary I told Michael that I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
So some alumni guys at Southern Cal are starting to think about the buyout. And I was like, his buyout is insane, Lincoln Riley's. And he goes, SC has the money. Don't think they don't have the money. They could buy the Pope. They could buy the Pope out if they wanted to. What would you think about Deion Sanders being the head coach of Southern Cal?
Well, I think that's something he can do because he can recruit talent.
Yeah.
The thing is, he needs people that are going to address the line. He's got to have people, which they can make sure they have people in there that are going to help him in that area. But he needs to, like down out there in Colorado, they don't have the offensive and defensive line you need to have if you're going to play on that level.
And at the Big Ten, right?
That's right. And SC, they need to improve on that. But I think Deion could recruit. He can recruit, man. And
hold on for a second. Talent. Did I hear Gary Cobb just tell me USC doesn't have an O-line? When I remember in my day, Jeff Bregel, Don Mosar, Bruce Matthews, those dudes.
Come on. What I'm saying is they haven't recruited them right now. Right. They didn't have, but normally, like when I played there, and which was been the history, is you have outstanding people up front. You got to have that wherever you're playing at. If you want to win, you got to have those people up front. Right now, they don't have those. They don't have those people up front, and that's why I don't think they be able to get over the hump this year. But I think Deion, they can make sure that he has those people in there, and he could do it. But I don't know that I see that happening. But I do see where they're not gonna tolerate this level of performance.
You can't. Hey, you can't lose to Minnesota.
No. Believe me, those guys out there, they do have the big pockets out there. So whatever they want, they could go out and buy it.
Gary, how many games did you lose in 3 years at USC?
I don't know.
2?
We had some good. No, we lost more than that, but we the whole time I've been around part of that program, man, they don't tolerate much more than 1 or 2 losses in a season, man. They're not happy, man. Right away. So they're thinking about changing things. They're not happy with that. They want to go with their buddies and be able to, joke with them about, winning another national championship. And I haven't heard any talk along that line. So unless they're in the hunt for that championship, they're not happy.
Absolutely, man. It's Southern Cal. What the hell? I mean, I grew up. I mean, that was one of the programs that if that team went 10-1, kind of like back in my time, if we went 10-1, that was a sorry-ass year.
Yeah.
Right? Gary.
That's right.
Should be an interesting week, Dallas week, coming off of this. Nick Sirianni, man, he can't get a win without help of this. They win, they lose. I don't know, right? They win, they lose.
Nick, we don't need the drama, okay? We don't need the drama, especially against a bad team, Nick. Let's win the way we're supposed to win, and people can tell jokes in the second half and laugh and stuff,
Absolutely.
That was too close. Too much drama, man.
Too much drama. Gary, thank you, my friend.
All right, buddy.
All right, the great Gary Cobb. We appreciate him very much. I that is hilarious there, bud. All right. I'm going to take a time out here, and then I'm going to talk about a scumbag. And a child. I am going to talk about a person who has no self-awareness, who is stealing money, who is unbecoming of a professional athlete. Okay? Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30. I'll tell you who that scumbag is. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30 Eastern. Please hit the like button. Week 9 of the National Football League. We'll take a look at some of the games that were played as well in tonight's Buccaneers and Chiefs games from Arrowhead. I just got a text message from an agent. The Eagles are shopping Bryce Huff. This is why. Now I know why he played that limited amount of reps. They're looking to trade him. They're looking to trade Bryce Huff. Jesus criminy. This guy had a shorter reign than that Pope who was poisoned back in the day. Holy cow. Good night, man. No wonder, hey, you don't really think he hurt his hand, do you? Doing what? I can think of a few things that you can hurt your hand doing, but I wonder what he was doing. Holy cow. Dude, this guy here, man, what did he last? 4 months? And now they're dealing him. I can't wait. By the way, Angelo is going to be with us at 5:30. Holy cow. Eagles are going to have to eat that contract, a majority of that contract. I thought NFL teams got fined for lying about injuries. Yeah, that's right. Lying about injuries. What are you saying? One of the reasons why I missed some reps is because I hurt my hand? That's not on an injury report. You mean when you're not putting guys on the injury report? You could say anything you want publicly. Wednesday and Thursday and Sunday, senor, is how it works. Eagles are shopping Huff. Holy cow, man. All right. Let me get to the scumbag that you have in Philly known as Joel Embiid. What a waste of talent. I don't want anybody talking about my family. I don't want anybody talking about shit. Then I put my hands on Marcus Hayes. Hey, I traditionally don't defend sports writers, but I do defend people who have to be bullies. Who cares what Marcus wrote? You make $50 million a year. Grow up, kid. You're a child. You act like one, you talk like one, and you play like one. You're an absolute fraud. I mean, you represent Philly. Dude, you're just a shitty version of Ben Simmons too. I mean, pushing columnists around now because they write something shitty about you. I got to deal with the consequences. No, you don't. You know how you deal with the consequences? You just walk by it. You just walk by it. These media people are not your friends. And anytime you think they are, that's why I don't get close to many of them. I don't care. Do you know why the beat? Hey, get this. And again, this is not a shot at John. But why do you think the beat writers like ESP, John McMullen, and some of these other guys are defending some of the decisions that Nick makes? They're friends with him. They see him every day. They have to have a relationship with him to get an interview, or Bob Lang shuts it down. So I understand it. You can't talk out of one side of your mouth and call him a scumbag and then turn around and say, hey, Nick's my friend. I get it. But see, this is why for me, I don't get close to anybody like that. I can say whatever I want. That's why you get more of a pure take with me than you do with me having to walk in a NovaCare building. Hey, if I had to walk in a NovaCare building, my takes would be different too. Common sense. You're not publicly going to put out there on X, your boss is a scumbag, and then turn around and go, hey, you want to go to lunch? That's the fine line you have to take. Okay? I mean, if you're under the assumption that Bob Lang doesn't communicate with people and doesn't control the narrative, look at what they did and how they released the AJ information. They didn't tell a local guy. They told a national guy. Why? Because they don't want to be beholden to one guy giving them scoops like that. They'd rather tell Palacero. They'd rather tell Schefter. They'd rather tell those guys the national stories. They don't tell them those things. Nobody knew Jalen Hurts was hurt until you had the national guys telling us that Hurts was hurt 2 years ago. Get this. How did you take that, what I just said, that I called John a liar? John's friends with these guys. I'm not. I'm not calling him a liar. He's got a different responsibility. He's got to walk in that building every day. I don't. Whatever. Akbar. That's how you see it. That's a you thing. It's all good. I don't really care. I mean, could care less what you think. I really could. Okay. Angelo Cataldi will be with us at 5:30. No, I do not think John's lying. I do not. I think John sees Nick differently than me. John puts more of a human aspect on Nick. I don't, because I could care less about Nick the human. I don't know. Why would I care about Nick the human? So if I say something critical of him, this is all football stuff. And when I see something, I can go knee deep into it. I don't have to worry about my friendship with him or my working relationship with him. Hey, well, Akbar, if a guy doesn't say something because of his job makes him a liar, well, let me ask you this, and I'll show you something. Akbar, you tell me what you think of this then. Let's use another guy. Okay? A guy who's in the locker room every day with the Eagles. By the way, I love John McMullen. Totally have great respect for him. So the guy, ESP, says that Nick had an A game in coaching. Akbar, do you agree with that? Here's a beat writer for the Eagles. Do you think the coach, Nick Sirianni, had an A performance? Hey, get this. I would even, with the hardest fans of the Eagles, tell me this. What did Nick Sirianni do in that game that helped his team win? And I'll go, wow, okay. What an impact. Name me one thing he did in that game that helped him and helped the Eagles win. All the Eagle fans. Taylor, who never agrees with me. Nick took 9 points off the board at least. D-. Wait a minute. ESP said that he had an A-. What would you give Nick Sirianni's grade? Let's go down ESP. Elliott Shore, Parks. Let's go down his grading scale. What would you give Nick for that game? Crowley says F. Abe, F. Raj, C. F. D. Z. 0 incomplete, does not participate. ESP meant the other coaches, Vic and Kellen. So, but the head coach has no. So those two guys had A's, but he had an F, and it's still graded out to be an A? A pink slip. Hey, that's a great take. If he had lost that football game, do you think the calls would have been today to fire him? You know, Xander said to me on the post-game show, Xander goes like this, and I couldn't believe it. I was the guy that said this. Xander went like this after a win. A hardcore Philadelphia Eagle fan. Guy was raised Kelly Green. Guy was raised with the feathers and everything. This guy, everything, dad, all that, right? Xander's an Eagle fan. You know what he said? Hey, should Nick Sirianni be fired Monday? I was like, no, he's 6-2. I don't think so. He had lost that game, there would have been more of a chirping for it. But Xander's like, that is an Eagle fan. By the way, I saw some of the videos that Cross and Broad was throwing out. Every guy walking out of the stadium, the guy sucks. Hey, Nick, you're done. It's the first thing Xander asked me before we started the postgame. You think this guy should be fired? Then he asked it on the air. And I'm like, no, I don't. Not and I don't. Nick does not win by a large enough margin to make the fans happy. Eagle fans thought this game was supposed to be easy. It wasn't. Dude, how do you lose? How do you do this? And Senor, you have a 22-point lead, and you could have made this thing even like a 5-score game or a 4-score game. And you could have put this team to sleep. You get a couple mistakes in the game, some bad calls by the refs. Before you know it, Jags have the ball driving for the game winner with a minute left. And they had done nothing in the entire game. They had done nothing in the game to put them in that position to win. There wasn't one redeeming quality about the Jags except those 2 edge rushers that gave him a shot. Allen and Walker are good. Those guys are premier pass rushers. That's what the Eagles want to have. Walker and Allen. Those 2 guys they're great pass rushers. Too bad they're on a shitty team and they don't really have anything else on that defense. I mean, Mulata and Lane, those 2 guys were in the backfield. Hurts was sacked 3 times. They're elite pass rushers. That's a good-looking tandem they got there. They could build around that thing. I like those 2 pass rushers, and they're young. And they just signed Allen to a contract extension. Hey, how come I see this? Hey, Xander, check this out. Nick today says he wouldn't have done anything different because I believe in my players. Hey, Chris, watch this. Hey, Kamala, would you have changed anything under the Biden administration? No, I'd like everything the way it is. I'm sorry. There's an election tomorrow. I had to get one in. I'm sorry. I apologize. I wouldn't change anything. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Seals of Hurts got a B. Nick got an A-, but the offense got a C-. Who was to blame? Barkley had 159 yards. Smitty was great. AJ got hurt. O-line blocked for Barkley. What am I missing? Yeah, the coach blew. That's what happened. Exactly. Sills, appreciate your professional based opinions. Don't always agree, but glad that you don't give fans a take and ask provocative questions, and don't give fans take and ask thought-provoking questions. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that very much. Appreciate it. Guys, please hit the like button. I'd like to get to 400 likes by the top of the program. Thank you. Hey, Michael, that's what we try to do here. You know, that's why when people always ask me this, Michael, they ask me this, they go, Sills, are you a fan of the team? No, because you know why? That clouds my takes. It clouds my takes. I've really never been a fan, except for the Giants when I was younger, because of Robustelli, my relative, or, you know, Bobby Valentine or something like that. But most of the time, I never really rooted for a pro team. I was more of a players guy, and I liked the players, you know? So I never really rooted for one particular team. Now, the only reason you see Buccaneer gear, I played there. And Kane stuff, I played there. So you don't really see anything else. You see a couple things from like Mark Gastineau, who's a dear friend of mine. Other than that, I really don't have a lot of other memorabilia up. I have stuff that's mine and stuff that when I play professionally. I got all my helmets over there on a shelf. Cowboy helmet and my World League helmet. My Canes helmet. I got another one up here. But most of that stuff's over there on the other side. Sill's rooting for cannolis. You got a better chance of me rooting for cannolis than you do rooting for an NFL team. Does Nick get any other job after this one? Yeah. At least Doug knows what he's doing. Jacksonville is a dumpster fire. Yeah. No, dude, with that record, playoffs, totally get a job opportunity. Absolutely. Frank Gifford was a friend. Frank was a dear friend. Actually, Frank actually who was the guy that ran Monday Night Football? Introduced, God, his name slips my mind. Who was the guy that ran Monday Night Football and ABC Sports? Arledge, Roone Arledge. Yeah, he introduced me to Roone Arledge. And I got a chance to meet Roone Arledge. And that's how I got a chance to get into ABC Sports. And I was just about ready to get hired from ABC Sports until the guy was killed on TWA Flight 800. I had a job. I had a contract in my hand. I was going to do sidelines for ABC Sports. And I was going to be a sideline reporter. Unfortunately, the guy died with his family on TW Flight 800. It was crazy. One of the craziest stories ever. Angelo Cataldi is going to join us at 5:30 Eastern. Do me a favor. Hit the like button here and tell me what questions you want me to ask Angelo Cataldi. Angelo has been very critical of Nick Sirianni. I can't wait to hear it. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. What was the more egregious and poorly coached game? The last game at the Vet by Andy Reid or yesterday? That was an NFC Championship game. And he lost to a good team, that Buccaneer team. This was a shitty 2-7 Jags team that you almost let win and had no right to be in that game. Can you think of a more egregious coach game in Eagle history than what you saw yesterday? By the way, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30 Eastern Time, the legendary man himself from WIP. Okay? The loss is always worse than the win. I'm talking about coaching. I'm talking about how a guy handled the game. I get win-loss. You won a game against a shitty team, okay? You lost a game against a great team. Team would go on to win the NFL championship in the Super Bowl. Wasn't like you lost to a bum. You lost to a team that was the eventual champion. I mean, I see somebody in here. Who had a worse weekend, James Franklin or Nick? At least Nick won. I get it. We should have beat the Falcons. He should have beat the Falcons. Okay, that was a poorly. Hey, Andy's got some doozies, doesn't he? Andy's got some doozies in his day with the Eagles. Absolutely. All right, just a couple takeaways again from yesterday's game as we get ready for Angelo. Jags had no right being in that football game. Had no right being in that game. Eagles survive. Game was up. They were up 22-0. I thought that thing was trending to being a blowout. I'm with you, Yale. I actually think I think Andy was atrocious in that Tampa game. The last game at the Vet, I think Andy Reid was terrible. That was by far one of the worst coach football games I've ever seen Andy Reid coach, was that NFC title game at the Vet. I mean, he was god-awful in that game. The Buccaneers coaches ran circles around him. Monty Kiffin and Tony and those guys, they ran circles around that. Or it was Gruden, excuse me. Gruden and Monty Kiffin ran circles around him. And they lost the last game at Veterans Stadium. Hey, I get it, man. I mean, but that thing yesterday, I mean, he was trying to lose. It was like the Eagle players were playing against two people. The Jaguars and their coach. Okay? Oh, the shitty Carolina game. I forgot that NFC title game. Who'd you lose to in that one, Akbar? Was that Jake Delhomme? Was that Jake Delhomme? Hey, Akbar, was that Jake Delhomme you dropped that game, though? That he would end up going on and winning the Super Bowl? Or was that Cam? By the way, Xander, I may have missed some super chats. Seems like when AJ goes down, Hurts becomes so confused. And also, the 10 yards off the ball football killed us in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I didn't get the sense, though. I didn't get the sense, though, that the offense fell apart when AJ went out this time. I think because they ran the ball so many times, 46 times. Okay? I think those guys did okay, man. I think Devontae Smith picked his game up. You gave a kicker a freaking captain's patch. He's freaking invisible like the 7 foot, 280 pounds Shirley Temple, man. Oh, man. Joel Embiid. Wow. Got some winners there at that Sixer team. Between Ben Simmons and that guy. Holy cow. Absolutely, man. Barkley and Hurts were great in the game. The defense was good. You're starting to look a lot like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. The defense is playing better. Zach Bond, Josh Sweat. I disagree with Gary Cobb. Nakobe Dean did not play well in that game. Cooper DeJean is starting to show. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. We'd like to get to 400 likes by the end of the program if we can. Guys were great. And Nick passed up 9 points in the game. So in theory, that game should have been, think about what we said. Remember what we said the score? Our score was 31-17. That's what we thought the game would be. In theory, if you put the 9 points back on, it's 37-23. Comfortable win. And when Xander was talking to John McMullen, well, you know, you have the advantage now because it didn't work. Well, how many more of these situations in the games are you going to look at where most of the decision makings that Nick has made has not panned out, especially in the last month? Is it me, or does most of the decisions that he makes fail? And for the life of me, that pass interference, why are you putting Avonte Maddox in? He's cooked. That was a poor move by the coaching staff on defense. What are you putting Avonte Maddox back there for? Okay. Here's a great take. This right here is my complaint with John McMullen. Thank you, Raj. 19 away from 400, guys. Senor with a great take here. Most of the decisions fail. Then don't you play, Senor, the higher percentages that give you the best chance of success? The least amount of resistance for the best formula for success is the remedy to a championship, is it not? Joe Madden told me that. The former manager of the Rays and the Cubs told me that one. I said, Joe, how do you go into your decision making? He goes, the formula for me has always been the least formula for failure gives me the best opportunity at success. I go with the percentages. I'm not looking for the tremendous play. I'm looking not to make the poor play. And the poor plays that were made in the game brought the Jags back. The fumble, the PI, not going out and getting the first down. All plays that led to them coming back in the game and having a shot to win it. You understand what I'm saying? As many great plays that there were in that game by Eagle players, it didn't matter in the end because the bad plays caught up with them. Do you understand that bad plays catch up with you more than good plays help you win? It's not about, like Jimmy Johnson used to say, as Jimmy Johnson says all the time, it's not about the spectacular play. It's about not making the one egregious plays that cost you a game or field position. I mean, John doesn't see it that way. And see, our argument is he thinks it's player accountability and player results. It is. But all decisions are made on the sidelines of what play to run. That starts with the coaches. Well, the players don't execute. No shit. It's a human game. Not all officials make the right calls. It's a human game. You got to account for all of that. So you put your players in the best position for success. Not for gambling and being aggressive, recklessly. That's how, like I said, Andy Reid and Bill Belichick coach by the percentages of success, and they apply their analytics. Those guys don't build their game plan based off of analytics. They apply them in game. See, I think analytics should be applied, not your formula for building a game plan or a game plan's mentality. So like Xander was pointing out, you're going to be aggressive on a 2-point play that doesn't matter. If you kick the field goal, it's still a 3-point possession game. He did that twice. And you're thinking to yourself, why would he not make it a 3-score game by kicking the field goal? And he passed on it 3 times. And you kept him in the game with 2-score opportunities. Anytime you're in a game where you have 2-score opportunities, you have a chance to win it. You have a chance to win it. John also said from here out, it should be questionable if percentages go down. Hey, and get this. So that's a great take right here, Chris. So, Chris, let me ask you this. When you have had massive success, what is it, like 91% success rate on the tush push? And you throw a flare pass on 4th and 1. Where did the analytics book tell you that was the play that was going to give you the best formula for success? Wasn't the best formula to run a 3rd time? Do you know the odds of the Jags stopping that play for a 3rd time would have been? Astronomical. Stopping that thing for a 3rd time. No way. The pass they ran had a higher cause of failure. And so when he says that shit to you, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Also, the team still looks like 22 in spite of Sirianni. That's why I'm not killing him. You'll kill him again. One thing, though, I will say, Akbar, I mean, you're talking about in the last 4 weeks, teams combining with 9 wins. I think you have to temper that. By the way, I don't want to make this completely just banging on John here. It's just a difference of opinion. That's all it is. It's a different way of going about it. I see it through a player's eyes. I think he sees it through a coach's eyes. That's fine. Akbar, past success is not a reason to ignore circumstances. On any given day, I don't give a crap about 22 percentages. Make decisions in the moment based on variables. That's right. That's why every game is not a carbon copy of the last game. That's why every time you get into a football game with a team in the NFL, every week you're going to play an opponent, no matter what the record is. Get this. That just shows you. You know what Jacksonville showed you? Every game that you play, if you make critical mistakes like the Eagles did, circumstantial-wise, and the refs helping, that team's going to come back on you. That team's going to come back on you. Jubal. Thank you, Jubal. Yeah, you're right. Kevin Stefanski was also the better coach in that Browns game. Gave the Browns a chance to win too. Absolutely. Could Sirianni's decisions be about preparing his team to face the Lions? No. Worry about what you have in front of you. By the way, I'll say it one more time to you. Doug Peterson was the best coach on the field. He was the best coach. Here, before I get Angelo on here, let me read you this. How does a football team have 14 freaking first downs, 215 yards in total offense, 60 rushing yards, and only the ball 20 minutes, and you have a last possession where you could beat the football team that was blowing your doorknobs out? You had 450 yards in total offense. Your quarterback was sensational in the game. 230 yards, 67 rushing. The running back is killing it right now. And then you look down the line here. They even lost the turnover battle, the Jags. And there they were on the 37-yard line with a shot to go in the end zone and beat them. I don't know how this was in. So if the players didn't play, what was the difference? Now, look, I'll say this to you. That Andy Reid game that he coached against the Buccaneers, the last game at a vet, was a train wreck. That in the Carolina game, they were train wreck games. This here, they gave 9 points up. This should have been like a 37-23 ball game. Lights out. Good night. I'll see you in Dallas. The man has been saying this, and one of the reasons he picked 5 wins was because of this guy. I made one proclamation: Nick Sirianni, get out of the way and stay out of the way this year. Let's ask Angelo Cataldi, our good friend, get him in here. I couldn't wait to get him on here, man, because I'll tell you what, Angelo. Boy, I'll tell you, man, I saw some of those fans rolling out of Lincoln Financial, and you have been right dead on with this guy here. Nick Sirianni is the reason that this football team may not win a Super Bowl or even get to a Super Bowl, because they have not rectified one problem. That's that guy. That is the worst coach since Rich Kotite. I can't believe how egregious that guy was. Have you ever seen anything like what you saw on Sunday?
No, but I was not the least bit shocked. All right. I try, when I'm watching a game now, Dan, I try to picture what it's like from the people above Sirianni, because they picked this knucklehead and they must know. What I saw yesterday, this is what I saw in the Eagles game. I saw more amazing athletic plays by the Philadelphia Eagles in that game than I've ever seen in any game, and I've been here 40 years. I've never seen a better, more athletic game. From the Devontae Smith catch in the back of the end zone with one hand, to the, what's his name? The new kid, the kid they just got from Washington. That amazing 36-yard play, right? Unbelievable play. The ceiling of the great play by Dean and the interception in the end zone. That there was like 5 or 6 Hurts running for the touchdown. Nobody getting near him. Athleticism everywhere, brought to the roster by Howie Roseman. And then he put in charge of the roster a guy who has no idea what he's doing. He may as well wear a clown outfit. He might as well wear a clown outfit. All these stupid gestures and dumps. 2-point conversions, right? 4th and 1 or 2. Did he get one right the whole friggin' day?
No.
That's the only reason it was a game. He kept, you're 100% right. He kept Doug Peterson in the game. Now, I'm not letting Peterson off the hook either, though, because they had the ball with 1:42 on the Eagles' 13-yard line, right? There's one play I'm not calling, and he calls the plays. He ain't calling a touchdown, a pass into the end zone, so I'm going to give Hurts 90, 100 seconds to try to come back and win the game with a field goal. That was a ridiculous play call. So, again, Sirianni at 6-2 lucks out again because the athleticism of his players and his dumb mistakes get hidden by the fact they won a game. But if you're watching the game and you know anything about football, the guy is awful. And the only thing left for him to do is to make those decisions, and he keeps getting them wrong. How much more do we need to see?
How about this?
Blow another season in the playoffs?
How about this, Angelo? He said if he were today at the press conference, he said that if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't do it again. And I say this, well, that's going to be your undoing. Is that this guy's now, Angelo, help me out here. Is that the front office, though, with their analytics doing this? Or is that Nick trying to elbow his way in to having a type of job? Because we all know, I mean, Kellen did it. Think about what you said. Kellen did his job by putting the team in position to put points on the board. Here you got a guy parachuting in, undermining that and taking the points away. The coordinator on the other side is making the defense better. The one guy who's getting in the way here is this really just Nick doing this? Or do you think he's being coached by the upper management that they want to always be aggressive? I don't mind being aggressive, but I mind being reckless.
Here's the thing, Dan, all right? Yes, he has analytics guidance that he's used. But yesterday, for example, the analytics guidance was based on the fact that nobody's been able to stop the tush push. Doug Peterson figured out how to do it. Two tiers. Bottom tier cuts out the Eagles line. Second tier smushes him back when when Hurts comes over the line. That was the plan, and it worked better than anybody else in what they've done. When you see that they have figured that out, by the second time you've seen it, you don't do it anymore. So what? There was a penalty on an extra point. So now you only got a yard to do. Don't just robotically say, well, then we'll just do the tush push when you already know it isn't working anymore. So see, even if you've got the analytics chart, sometimes you've got to think in the moment based on what you're seeing. That is what a coach's job is. And he just kept getting it wrong over and over and over again. I'll tell you what, Dan, this is horrible to say in the city of Philadelphia, which loves the Eagles. Part of me wanted them to lose the game at the end, just so today, in the midst of all the other campaigning going on, there'd be a campaign started to get rid of this guy. Because they're not, yes, they can beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars are a lousy team. Right? They're not going to beat a good team in a big game with that guy on the sideline, because you cannot completely, totally insulate your team from the stupidity of a man who doesn't know how to do his job. And yesterday was Exhibit F that this guy has no idea what the hell he's doing. None.
The play of Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore,
yes,
Vic Fangio, as we said, explain to me how this game was close. Angelo, there's only one explanation. It's the coach on the sidelines, because everything they did in this game. Now, when you mentioned the word analytics, I had an argument with John McMullen about this, our beat writer for us. And I said, and he says, well, the analytics say this. And I'm like, well, here's the problem that the Eagles have. I believe in what great coaches do, applied analytics. What you just said.
Yes.
And you can't build a game plan off the analytics, guys, and what Julian tells you. Nope. You got to be able to have it when it matters in game, and you got to have a feel for the game. Right. I think this guy just doesn't have a feel for the game and a feel for the moment, and that's why it looks cookie cutter.
Yes, you're right. But you tell John that analytics are fine to a point. They are a guiding that they can help you decide what you're going to do in a moment. But ultimately, it's got to also be based on what happened that day, because one team is going to play you differently than another, and you as a coach have to adjust to what's going on. And Sirianni has never shown any ability to do any of that. He's like a robot. He's programmed based on the analytics that is run by the Eagles by the owner's son, Julian Lurie. So maybe he doesn't want to get the owner upset by going against the owner's son.
The last 4 games have a combined record of 9-22. Is it fool's gold? Or are you seeing, again, and now they're going to get a break. Dak's not going to be on the field this coming weekend for the Cowboys. So you're going to get Cooper Rush in the building there. Then you get Washington and Baltimore and a couple more good teams on the flip side of that. But we're seeing them, and people are getting excited again because it is 4 in a row. Hurts hasn't turned the ball over. He looks a little bit like 22 again. But I'm trying. My take is that, you're playing the Browns, you're playing the Jags, you're playing the crummy Giants. The Bengals aren't totally crappy. They are in defense, but Angelo, are we in a position like we were a year ago where the team was 10-2, 10-1, and people are going like, this is a Super Bowl team. And then you look at it and you're like, you've only beaten one winning team this year. Now, like you said last week, hey, man, maybe you found more of a cynic than you. But, I'm trying to look at this and go like this. How do you look at what the last 4 weeks have been?
It's fool's gold. It's fool's gold. But something has happened that's going to kind of detract from that. That they should not have the Cowboys with Dak are awful this year. They stink. All right. They're bad. Washington is suddenly, they're leading the division. And Jaden Daniels looks phenomenal. I love him. I think he's an amazing player.
Yes.
That's your test, because you're going to be dealing with a guy with the same kind of athletic talent that the Eagles have, Hurts, if not even more so. You're going to be dealing with Dan Quinn and a very, very good coaching staff. And their defense, their whole team, they've got that feel like this is good. We're going to make a big step forward this year. And they're in the process of doing it. If the Eagles can take on Washington and win in a way that is impressive, then I'm ready to say to you, know what? I was already way off on the 5-win, but yeah, maybe they really got a chance to do something here. But it's inconceivable to me with Sirianni there. The talent, you know this, Ben. The talent is Super Bowl worthy. Look at it. Look at Barkley, the runs. It was insane what he was doing. It was brilliant. They now have linebackers who have an impact on the game. Dean and Bourne are playing very good football. They're doing it. Carter in the middle yesterday was terrific at stopping the run. He did a great job. They've got a ton of talent. And I keep going back to it. Howie Roseman's watching that and going, how much more can I bring in? What else I got to do here? And this guy's finding ways to practically blow the game. And it's like, well, practically. They won it. He's 6-2. Sirianni's got the good record again this year.
40-19 also.
He stinks.
I know.
Yeah, he stinks. I don't give a damn. You said he's comparable to Rich Kotite. No, Kotite was better. This guy's awful. I've never seen anything like it. They win despite him. Despite him. What he did yesterday, my God, he doesn't call the plays. He doesn't have anything to do with the defense. He doesn't do anything to do with the special teams. The only thing he does is decide field goals and two-point conversion. He couldn't have screwed it up more. Couldn't have.
How is Jeffrey Lurie looking at this?
I don't, that's
does he look at it as a positive that they're 6-2 and overlooks the other stuff because he's a lap guy and he's a puppet and it's kind of the same kind of guy that they want in there because he's a yes man? Or do they really? I mean, if Doug Peterson was being questioned for a win against Green Bay on a Monday, do they question the decisions that were made Sunday by Nick, or are they more in line with the kind of coach Nick is for what they're looking for? How do you think they look at this?
I think now a day like yesterday definitely moves things. It changes minds. Because you see, when the game is going on, they're experiencing the way we are. They're watching the game. They're scratching their head. They're going by the third time he tries these stupid two-point conversions. When they were up, they would have been up 17 if they got a field goal. And they went out on the field to try to convert a 4th and 3. All right? That's just stupid. You understand? There's not. And even the announcers who never challenge anything coaches do, the announcers are going, wouldn't you want to be up more than 2 scores? Hey, you got a field goal kicker. He hit that with his eyes closed. Why are you not taking the 3 points and going up more than 2 scores? Yeah, they're experiencing that the way we are. And Lurie now has got to be saying to himself, listen, come on. It's one thing to look at 40-19. And it's another thing to look at the games as they happen. And I know one thing, all right? I know the volume of email I get, and I know what the fans are saying to that. And in the words of the Sopranos and Tony Soprano, Nick Sirianni is dead to them, all right? He's dead to them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They don't even want to see him next week. And he's 6-2. Because the guy clearly is clueless. I mean, next level clueless. A whole nother level of stupidity was added yesterday.
Angelo, help me on that. You're 40-19, you're 6-2, and the fan base hates you. How's that possible?
It's simple, all right? A, his sideline demeanor, which is embarrassing, was again yesterday. Because we know he's not doing anything. He's out there playing for the cameras. I don't know what the hell he's doing down there. Every time he opens his mouth at a news conference, he makes an ass of himself, right? That doesn't work. He's rolling the kids out after games, which doesn't play well in this city at all. And frankly, the more you hear him talk and the more you see him coach, the clearer it is that he's clueless. They're not dumb in this city. They see his incompetence. And here they are at 6-2. And if you saw my email today, I'm talking hundreds. He's dead to them.
Wow.
They don't want him here. They don't want him one more week.
Wow, that is an indictment for sure on the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I was wondering, Angelo, who had a worse weekend, James Franklin or Sirianni? I mean, both those guys there, man. I mean, one guy going after people in the stands too. And I'm like, both these guys, man. I mean,
I have the answer to that question. The answer is Joel Embiid. All right. That's the answer to the question. Because that guy, I just wrote for my website. I wrote about the game and I wrote about what Embiid did to Marcus Hayes, who I know has been on your show. And it's a disgrace. What happened there is an utter disgrace. And I blame Embiid because he's a baby. The Sixers because they are an embarrassment in terms of our city and how you conduct yourself at the PR level. An embarrassment. And I blame everybody associated. I blame the whole Philadelphia media that has reached the point in its softness now where a star player can hold a news conference on Friday and say, I've done so much for this city. How dare you write what Marcus Hayes wrote? Now, Hayes pushed it a little by bringing in his legacy and the effect that it would have on his son and his late brother. He pushed that. I'll acknowledge that, but not to the extent that Embiid reacted the way he did. And then, according to the Inquirer, it was more than just a shove. He struck him. He hit him. He hit him in the neck and then shoved him in the collarbone. And first of all, I assume – oh, maybe they should suspend Embiid. Don't you have to play a freaking game before they suspend you? All right. The guy had that attitude at that news conference, Dan, because he's been coddled. His ass has been kissed for 10 freaking years in this town. 10 years they've kissed his ass. And now, if somebody comes out and says something that's obviously true, that the guy is soft, that the guy is not in condition, that the guy plays sometimes when it suits his situation, it's not acceptable. I relate to things like this the way a fan would. I want to go to the first game of the Sixers season, and I want to take my little kid, and I want that kid to wear his Joel Embiid jersey because he loves Joel Embiid. He's a big star player. And we go to the game, and he's sitting on his ass in street clothes because of left knee management. That isn't even a friggin' injury. What is left knee management? Look it up on WebMD. It doesn't say anything. We don't even know if he's hurt. He held the news conference. We still don't know if he's hurt. That guy is an outrage, Dan. And what they did to Marcus Hayes, I texted him. I said, Marcus, God bless you. You're the last guy in Philadelphia media who's got the balls to stand up to the star players and the teams in this city. And Dan, there's one other thing I need to say about it, because this is a new love. This is new. The Philadelphia 76ers, after their star player accosted a top columnist, Marcus has been here 30 years. Marcus is a top columnist in this town, a real journalist, Syracuse University. When he gets accosted and the PR people in that locker room turn to all the media and ask them to not report a word about it, to suppress the story. The fact that you would suggest that,
oh my God,
tells me that these media people have been compliant to your wishes in a way that is completely against the basic standards of journalism. You understand? If I were covering a team,
how about decency?
Somebody said that to me, I would look at them and say, no, you don't understand. The game is not a story anymore. This is a story. I got the top sports star in this city physically going after a columnist in this town, and you think I'm not going to write about it? The hell is wrong with you? That's the definition of news.
Wow.
And the fact that they even tried it, Dan, was an indictment on all those lemmings who cover that team and never have a negative word to say about anything.
Wow.
They haven't won a championship in 41 years, and you've still got nothing critical to say about it. Shame on all of you. Shame on you. And bravo to Marcus Hayes. Well, one guy left with some intestinal fortitude in Philadelphia sports media.
Why didn't WIP or the Fanatic, why haven't they reported that end of it? Because, again, this kind of goes down the line of Howard Eskin and how they covered up for that BS with the Phillies and such. Has it become, now that these teams have so much power in Philadelphia, Angelo, that they really dictate content and they really dictate on how reporters are going to be covering people? Because, again, you should see the things that people are saying about Nick. All the beat writers are defending Nick because, you know, they need a key fob to get in NovaCare. It just seems to me, I mean, seriously,
it's
if you
the
look,
same story. It's much easier to walk into the locker room when you've said that the coach is brilliant or he did the right thing, or that's not your job. You're not part of the PR department. You're reporting the team. You're offering your views, and they should in some way reflect those of the paying customers, because those are the people reading it. Those are the people that want to see that what they're thinking is in step with what some of the people who supposedly sports experts feel. It's sickening to me beyond anything I could tell you, Dan. It upsets me. I can't tell you what happened with WIP. Here's what I have heard through my emails. Marcus Hayes did seek an opportunity to go on WIP yesterday at Sonny Hill's show and was told no. Now, Sonny Hill is a mouthpiece for the players. He's been his whole life, and I get that. Yeah, come on, the guy's in his 80s. He's an icon of the town. Whether or not they've done anything with it, I personally text Rhea Hughes, who is my connection with WIP now, and said, if I were still there, my guest at 7 a.m. today, after the Eagles game, would be Marcus Hayes, because I would want to hear his story live. To me, that is better radio than anything that would be shown about the game, even though the game became very interesting in the end. And she said, well, I would suggest it, but I'm not sure they will go in that direction.
I'm going to put them on.
She didn't say they wouldn't do it. She just said she didn't think.
I'm going to put Marcus on.
That's a bigger story. It's a bigger story. Dan, it's a bigger story.
Do you think that so you think all the media outlets right now are suppressing this story?
I don't know if they are. I think their instinct now is to suppress any negative story.
Do you feel they are?
Yes. I feel that they are looking at it through the eyes of the team because it makes their job easier, because they're pussies. All right? I'll say it with the word. They're a bunch of pussies, with the exception of Marcus Hayes. There are others who sometimes go, Mike Sealski's pretty good. He gets over there some of the time. Marcus Hayes goes there all the time. He's doing it the way Stan Hochman would have done it many years ago, the way Ray Didinger would have done it, the way the people, the forefathers of sports media in Philadelphia, the way I would have done it. All right. But nowadays, it's just not happening anymore. And it's a disgrace because the fans aren't being represented. The feelings of the fans are not being represented.
How about this, Angelo? It just seems that these teams have gained so much control over the outlets now that there's very few places like here. I mean, I'm going to text Marcus when I'm done with you, and I'm going to tell him I'd love to have him on, because at the end of the day, man, that organization, if you're trying to build a community arena down in Chinatown and you need the community support, is that your number one objective right now, is to make sure that there's not any kind of negative waves, that you want to be looked at in a good light?
Yeah,
you
it's
have one of your
managing the message. You've dealt with it with the Eagles.
Star player attacking a columnist like Marcus Hayes. I mean, I get you want everything to be good, but Angelo, Jesus criminy, man, this goes against everything that you and why we got in this. Oh, man, I hope we can get him back here. Maybe that the Sixers cut us off here. because it just doesn't really make sense here, man. I mean, so let me get this right. The Philadelphia 76ers, according to Angelo Cataldi, went to the media people in the building there. Let's finish up here with Angelo here. Angelo, last comments.
Just to finish the thought there, you've dealt with it yourself. The Eagles try to manage the message through you.
Yep.
Clearly, the Sixers do it. They try to suppress a major story about one of their biggest star going after a media person. I'm sure. I don't know if I assume the Phillies are doing it. I don't know that Howard Eskett story kind of got buried pretty quickly. I don't know, Dan. I don't know. All I know is this: it's not the way it was done. I still prefer the other way. I prefer the way where you cover a team as an objective source, willing to provide negative insights and reporting when needed. And I don't see hardly any of that anymore. I see very little of that anymore. And it's just, it's not the town it used to be. And I feel
no way
about that.
No way. It's that news there by you is terrible. I mean, it absolutely is. And no wonder that the Eagles can get away with Sirianni now with the assault of Marcus Hayes, because I said the same thing. I mean, I don't give a shit what a guy writes. You make $55 million a year. I'm going to walk through that like a box of rocks. I'm not going to care about what a guy writes about me. I made $55 million, and you're telling me that some column bugs you? Dude, I mean,
he said,
you're in the wrong city.
I've done so much for this city.
Oh, God.
He's getting 50. I had 51 million. He's getting $50+ million a year, and he hasn't played a friggin' game. And he's playing victim. He's playing victim, making $50 million a year there. Victim. We're all friggin' victims. Oh, my God. Oh, you're so unfair to me. Where's my money? Where's my $50 million?
Hey, Angelo, did my direct deposit come in? Thank you. I'm so abused.
It's unbelievable. This only happens when you've been trained to be that coddle, when you're so coddled that you could say anything you want to say, and they'll report it. And if it's negative, they'll give you the benefit of every doubt. It's awful. I may move. I'm thinking of moving.
Hey, this is no longer Philly. It's Cherry Hill.
Maybe. I don't know. I may move down to Florida, Danny. That's what I'm doing. Where all the old people go.
That's Naples. That's that side of the island over there. Hey, okay. Angelo, thank you so much, man. That was spectacular. I appreciate it. All your time. And thank you, my friend.
Anytime, Dan.
You bet. That's our good friend, Angelo Cataldi. Let me take a quick time out. I'll tell you what I think of tonight, and we'll follow up on that. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on sports grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on sports grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in,
Decisions,
the dark.
the dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid
as long as you face the fear.
and keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
So Angelo was hoping that the Eagles lost so that it would fire Nick today. And he gave us a tidbit that reporters in Philly who were on site for the incident with Marcus Hayes, and I just tweeted this, were told by the Sixers PR department not to report on it. Boy, the cover-up is always worse than the incident. We're going to work on getting Marcus Hayes on because that is an enormous story. I mean, that's insane. And supposedly Joel Embiid, it wasn't just a push that they're trying to push the narrative. And WIP and 97.5 don't want to put Marcus on because they want to get their jobs and do their jobs better. This is why you guys come here. Because it's unfiltered. I got some super chats, Xander, that I want to get to because I told everyone we'd always get to them no matter what here. Angelo, the GOAT, never disappoints. Get Hayes on as soon as possible, Sills. They can't silence us. No. We're going to do everything we can to get Marcus on. Thank you guys very much. Did we get over 400 likes, by the way? Appreciate you guys here on this Monday. It was the Jags, and it was a great storyline. And now we end with another huge story here from Angelo Cataldi. So, look, I'm not a reporter. People come on here and report what they see. And thank you guys again. Please hit the like button. Big Joe, Xander, thank you guys very much. 2 to 6 tomorrow. And we'll see you on the flip side.